What is up, team? And welcome back to the Technical Fowl podcast. As always, you're joined by the three of us. I'm Jack Anderson. To my right is JP Pucylowski. And to my left is Sanders Oakley. How are we doing today, boys?
Pretty good. It feels so weird because it feels like the weekend for me because I've been doing show prep for the weekend preview, and I always do that on like Wednesday and Thursday morning. So today feels like Thursday. So yeah, my mind is all thrown out of whack. I have no idea what day of the week it is, and I think that it's going to be a struggle because then I'm going to go home for a couple of days. I've got a wedding this weekend on a Saturday. Yep, Saturday wedding, unfortunately.
Just tell them, look, you're my cousin. I know I love you. I won't be there.
No, I will be there. And I'm very excited. So, I'll get to go to the wedding, and I will not be watching football for like probably 30 minutes that day. I'll have it out before and after. I'll be watching on my phone. I might take my laptop and my iPad. Can I do that at the reception, you think, and have it sitting on the wherever we're eating?
No.
No? You think not?
Just stick with the phone, I'd say.
Just the phone.
All right. Well, that's unfortunate. But yeah, no, wedding this weekend. Don't know what day it is. But other than that, I'm good. Chargers lost, which is tough.
We'll get into that later.
We will get into that later.
I can't wait, though.
But we got a great weekend of ball. I was about to start talking about the weekend, but I forgot that we're going to be doing two shows, so I'm going to keep it reflective and not forward looking.
Sure.
So good past weekend. Who knows about the next weekend? We'll talk about that later.
Of course. JP, how have you been? You ready to go home tomorrow?
Yeah, I am. I have a big weekend that I'm very, very excited for.
Any golf lined up?
Yes. In fact, the 2025 Club Championship will occur on Sunday at Woodmont Golf Club. Got a full roster, 4 guys playing. It was postponed from 2 months ago after one of our players claimed that he had too much going on.
Brutal.
And then later on, well, to be fair, he did.
Okay.
He flew to California that week and had been in California the entire week, and they would fly home, had the jet lag, and then he was proposing to his girlfriend the next day and have an engagement party the following day. So the tournament would have been sandwiched in between a 5-day trip to California with work and then proposing to the love of his life. And he claimed he didn't have enough time to play. And then about 2 to 3 weeks later, he says that he didn't want to play because he knew he wasn't going to be ready golf-wise to play, which I think is complete utter BS.
Okay.
That's not your fault, or not our fault. That shouldn't be held against you, because what happens now and if we play in 2 months and someone else isn't ready to play in a tournament, the tournament had been scheduled for
a while,
a month and a half.
Sure.
But that's this Sunday. Also going to the casino on Friday.
Nice.
Which is going to be first time in a casino legally gambling up in North Carolina. And then Bills Falcons on Monday night, which I'm really excited for as well. So got a big weekend ahead of me.
See, my favorite casino.
I also
go ahead.
am picking up a package on Wednesday night.
Okay.
Which is, assuming she isn't the one that's in the chat right now, it is a ring.
Okay.
Bang!
So
Congrats.
Thank you.
Hopefully she is not the one in the chat, but
yeah, hopefully not. If you are viewing, let us know who you are so we know it's not her.
the number is also not always accurate.
No, it's not.
So
It might. I had opened my iPad just a second
could
ago,
still be
so
counting
it might
you.
be me.
100%.
My favorite casino story is my dad had a work trip down to the coast when me and my siblings were all younger. I was probably like 8, my brother was probably 6, and at one point we wanted to go to the docks because we were little and we never seen met that many boats before. But to get to the docks through to the hotel, you had to go through the casino. And my parents were like, hey, can we take our children to the casino? They're like, yeah, here's the door, you're good going through. And we get to the other side, and my parents had to sit down with us, okay, what you just saw, that was a casino. People bet money there. It can be, kind of explain the whole gambling thing and all that stuff. And I was like, yeah, that was gross. I smelled all the smoke, and there were no lights. And my brother, Win, he goes, I kind of liked
it. so don't let
So the
Win
flashing
in a
lights and the no sunlight and the darkness, he was like, I kind of liked it.
Yeah.
Keep one away.
Yeah, keep win away from the
Makes
casinos.
sense.
I mean, we've seen that man play poker. Like
He enjoys it.
he does. He
does.
enjoys.
He likes to be in on every single hand.
Well, we have a lot to get to today.
We do.
Because as JP already mentioned, he's going home, and I leave to go home tomorrow too. So we won't be here to record Thursday. So we're going to do our NFL recap show, and then almost immediately go right into our preview show for this upcoming weekend's games of college football and NFL back to back. So we have a ton to get to. So I don't really want to dilly-dally too long. I say we go ahead and dive right in.
I agree. Can we do quick roadmap? Just be sure we have everything. So 3-game review,
Yep.
or I guess like big NFL 3-game review,
Just-
and then like the big review that we do, your power rankings, and that'll be everything for this show.
Yep.
And then we'll end it and maybe grab a drink and maybe a bite and like a granola bar, and then go immediately live and then do our top 25s, the people poll, 5 previews, some bonus picks that I threw in there. Anything else?
NFL previews.
Yeah, all the,
So
the
8 previews.
Oh yeah, the
Three
8
NFL previews.
and then also JP's best bets.
Correct.
Yes.
All right, I'm over under 4.5 hours.
Over.
I'm taking
Taking
the
the
over.
over.
I'm taking the over.
All right, bad line by me. Bad line by me.
It happens.
Over under 5 hours, I should say.
Still taking
Over
the over.
5.
Still taking.
I think
the
we'll
over.
be in the
I
5
think
to
I'm
6
taking the
range.
under.
You're taking the under? Okay.
Wow.
4 hours 55 minutes.
Okay.
All right.
JP is randomly going to just walk up and hit the in record button
Yeah.
at 4:59.
I gotta go. Sorry,
Yeah.
I got an emergency.
Yeah. All right. With that being said, Sanders, what was your favorite NFL moment from the weekend?
Well, actually, my probably last night.
Okay.
I did not get to enjoy Sunday as much as I wanted to. We were driving back from College Station,
Sure.
and my brother, shout out him, drove for like 2 hours. I hadn't driven at all for the entirety of that trip, and he was putting in probably his 4th hour, like 2 hours over there and then 2 hours coming back. And we stopped at a gas station, grabbed snacks, and this is at like probably 3:05. So the 12 o'clock games are wrapping up, and we're loading up, and then he looks at me and goes, "You're up," tosses me the keys, and then I got in the car, and then I was like, well, my team kicks off in 20 minutes. This sucks. And then I drove the entire 6 hours or 5 hours from there. So I missed every afternoon game. I didn't know, full confession, I didn't know that the Broncos beat the Eagles until like last night. Because that was that noon game. I think it was a noon game, and the Eagles were up, and I just never went back and checked that game because like I felt like the Eagles were pretty dominant through the first 3 quarters, and so I didn't know that the Broncos came back and won that game. Missed that entirely. But last night's game was great. We'll get into that later. We'll get into that in detail, which
Sure.
it kind of sucks that I picked that as my game, my favorite game. But it was the game that I got to watch in entirety. So that's probably my favorite.
What was your favorite moment of the NFL weekend?
I was gonna say Thursday.
Okay.
Did not even include the weekend. Mac Jones and the shorthanded 49ers leading a big victory in LA, which was essentially a home game for the Niners. Jake Tonja's touchdown. We hit our parlay. That was pretty sick.
It was crazy. We threw that together in the car on the way down,
Yep.
and you just went full seer mode.
Seer.
And you're like, I think Jake Tonja is going to catch a touchdown. And it was the first drive. I mean, it was electric.
Yeah, I was just thinking Mac Jones, he loves to throw to his tight ends.
Sure.
And Tonjas is currently the best tight end for the Niners. But that was a huge win for the Niners. They pull it off in overtime. And that was a really, really good game. Stafford almost threw for 400 yards. Mac Jones was playing on... I mean, his body parts were still there, but they were all in pain,
Sure.
clearly. And he still somehow, pulled out a big win for the Niners. So, for me, I'd say that was the best moment of the NFL weekend.
Valid. My highlight is my boy Bill Krosky-Merritt finally got going, punched in a couple of touchdowns, was kind of the featured back for the first time in the Washington offense. And it was fun to watch, and then you get to see him. He was Tom Brady's player of the game, and he's holding the silver ball, and he's got the biggest smile on his face.
That's awesome.
Just so gleeful that he's this 24-year-old that had a journeyman-type college career, was a 7th-round draft pick, only got to play one game his final season in college. And there he is by week 5, the Tom Brady player of the game.
Yeah.
Lets out almost a little squeal at the end and is like, Tom, it's such an honor that I get to be here talking to you. It's just really cool to see. Very happy for him very happy for my Commanders that we have him. So that was my moment of the week. With that, though, other takeaways for the both y'all. Injury news, we can get to big results, whatever else you'll
trade.
have. Big
The Browns
trade.
A trade. All right, not a big trade. It's a big attempt. We'll get to that in a second. So the
Big
Browns
attempt.
start Dylan Gabriel over Joe Flacco. He has a decent day.
No, he has a great day.
A great day. Sorry.
I thought he played really well.
All right, cool.
189, 2 touchdowns, didn't put the ball in harm's way, led multiple scoring drives, just didn't have enough time left, and the defense finally didn't cook. So I think Gabriel played really, really well.
Considering what he has to work with from a weapon standpoint, it's a pretty good day. So can't really hate it.
For a first career start,
Yeah.
too, I'd take
And
that.
it was against that Vikings defense with Flores, who really loves to get in quarterbacks' heads and move guys around a lot. Like you never really know what you're going to see or what to expect because he's so good at setting the defense up and fooling offenses and quarterbacks. So, yeah, he had a good day, a great day, as JP would say. The very low, 57% of his passes he completed. That was kind of the one thing, and only 190 yards. I didn't get to watch the game, so statistically, he had I feel like a pretty standard rookie game, 5.8 yards per attempt, so kind of on the lower end. So would you say, did you watch it, JP?
Yeah, I watched a fair amount of it.
So was it a lot of check downs and what was what were the vibes?
I wouldn't say it was necessarily just a bunch of checkdowns. I felt like he managed the game well. He managed the huddle really well. He threw 2 touchdowns and 2 pretty good touchdowns too. He leads them to a lead early on. Doesn't struggle right out of the gates. I don't know exactly what the number is, but I imagine it feels like I feel like a lot of his incompletions were him just rolling out and having to throw it away.
Yeah,
sure.
To be honest.
And then as a result, or who knows what the reasoning was, the Browns trade Joe Flacco to the Bengals. The Bengals are going to try and limp through the season and get into the playoffs and then have Joe Burrow come back. Not the move I necessarily would have made. I think there were other backups around the league who I would rather have over Joe Flacco. I don't know if Marcus Mariota would have been available, but he played really well in his 2 games coming in for injured Jaden Daniels. Jameis Winston is the big talk, everyone who needs a quarterback, Jameis Winston is thrown out there, and I'm really surprised he hasn't been moved given he's been the 3rd string quarterback there. I don't know why, or unless teams just aren't actually trying to get him, if that's all just fans pushing for it. But I don't see why a team wouldn't try and go get Jameis Winston because he's so far down on that depth chart. But the Bengals trade for Joe Flacco. As a Jamar Chase fantasy owner, I think I feel better about that than Jake Browning because I think I would feel better about anyone over Jake Browning given the way he's played this season. The interceptions, there were stats about Jamar Chase having more tackles than some of their defensive players. So I feel better about as a Jamar Chase owner than I do having Jake Browning back there.
I don't know. So Flacco is 2 for 6 touchdown interception ratio. Jake Browning is 6 for 8, 6 and 8 touchdown interception ratio. So the only reason I would feel better is, something has changed.
Yeah.
And because something has changed, now you have an opportunity for at least Jamar Chase fantasy owners to maybe get more production. But it's not like Chase has been unproductive. Last week he scored 30 points.
Yeah, but that was his 2nd game in double digits.
I understand that. But it's 30 points. No matter how he got to it, he got some key points even if they were really in garbage time. I think it'll help a little bit, but Flacco has not been playing well at all.
Yeah.
Dylan Gabriel should have started week 3 for the Browns, but they were playing the Packers, and that didn't make any sense. And then week 4 they're playing in Detroit, so that didn't make any sense. But I'd pump the brakes. I don't think Flacco is saving anything. Mediocre quarterback play is not saving this team at all from continuing to go downhill, and it certainly won't get them into the postseason at the end of the year.
You said it well, JP. It's just it's something new. They're basically dumpster diving for quarterbacks and hoping that they find something that, I don't know, someone overlooked or just something that happens to stick and work for a couple weeks. But this is just not a sustainable move, in my opinion, or a move that brings me any excitement for the Bengals.
Yep.
So,
Other news, Cowboys offense continues to look really good. They scored 37 against the Jets. We aren't going to talk about Broncos-Eagles later, so do we want to talk about that now? Another game, like I said, I didn't get to watch the end of that game. It looked, I kind of stopped paying attention to it after that. I was in the car and I had my iPad, so I was watching a quad box on my iPad. So not the greatest, and signals going in and out. But I really kind of stopped paying that much attention to it after the Saquon, the route to the outside where Jalen Hurts hits him for the touchdown. I was like, all right, I think this game might be over at this point, because that was to go up, I think, double digits, and it just hadn't felt like Denver was able to do anything prior to or up to that point. When did that come? That was that was in the third quarter to go up 17-3. And that's when I was like, all right, I think this game might be over. So I think I took it out of my quad box and then didn't get to see the end of it. But the Broncos come back. J.K. Dobbins, they score 17 in the fourth quarter. But yeah, Evan Ingram finally gets a touchdown, maybe getting a little bit more active. That's something I know you were asking for, JP. After the way he played in Jacksonville when healthy, he comes over to Denver for a good amount of money, I think, or they invested in him heavily, and they just weren't utilizing him at all. And now they finally utilize him, get that touchdown, and then go down and win it.
Yeah, no, it was another week of Sean Payton using his weapons, and they didn't play well until the fourth quarter, but once they got to the fourth quarter, it did not matter. They got what they wanted and were able to put together scoring drives. I think they scored on 3 out of their 4 drives in the fourth quarter. And with the way their defense is playing, like if they can just get that kind of production, which isn't elite, they are going to be a really, really hard team to beat, and they proved that against Philly.
They scored on all 3 drives in the fourth quarter.
All 3 drives in the fourth quarter. 18 points in the fourth quarter. Able to shut Philly out in the fourth quarter. It's an impressive performance, 100%. I think for the Eagles, it might be helpful. You weren't going to go undefeated. Clearly not playing the way you were. Are going to win more games than you're not, and they've done that. But they kind of, I feel like, needed to lose a game like this, and maybe that can kind of reset everything. Now it could go the opposite way. You think about the year after they lost the Super Bowl to the Chiefs. I think they started that season like 10-1, and then they lose a tough game, and then they lose 5 in a row down the stretch, barely sneak into the wild card, and then don't even try when they show up to Tampa Bay. So it could go that way as well for Philly, and we'll see on a quick week if that's the case. My biggest thing is Saquon Barkley had 6 carries. 6 carries.
Huh?
6 carries. He had 9 touches. For the contract that you just gave him, that's probably it for sure is the least amount of touches he's ever had in an NFL game that he played the entire game of. And I'd bet it's probably the least amount of touches he's ever had in his entire life in a game that he started and played entirely. That's inexcusable. I don't care how the game plan was going at all. You were up 17-3. That should be Saquon time all day, but it would have, for whatever reason, it didn't go that way. And that is very, very curious.
Didn't they change? They changed OCs from last year.
Yes.
So
But they've changed OCs each of the 5
Yeah,
past
but
years.
they have Saquon last year. Have they actually?
Yes. Jalen Hurts has had a different play caller each of the last 5 seasons.
Okay. Do we think that his philosophy isn't going to work there? Because I don't know what his philosophy is, but it's been a weird year for the Eagles offensively. Returning everything you did from last year, the weapons that Jalen Hurts has, you bring Saquon Barkley back, like you return so much, you kind of expect that you should be able to continue to dominate offensively, and it's been weird. They have games where they rush for like up 200 yards and pass for under 100, and then they have the week where Jalen Hurts goes off. You've got A.J. Brown and some of the drama there. Our theory that he's going to request a trade. Saquon Barkley getting 6 touches. Do we think that's offensive coordinator centered? Like, is he just goofing around and he's going to screw it up?
I mean, he's definitely not goofing around. Maybe it is partially on him. I legitimately cannot make sense of this team. It is the hardest team for me to understand what's going on. Because they've in other games they've really tried to run Saquon and it's not worked, and that's been a big issue. And then in the limited touches Saquon got him, he was averaging 5 yards a carry. It wasn't like he was just absolutely getting stonewalled, and they were winning. So then that's the game you get 10 targets to Devontae Smith, who had a great game. 8 receptions, 114 yards. But it's just like, once again, not a full performance from their offense. It's good to start the game, absolutely falls off a cliff. I have genuinely no idea what's going on there.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to be up 17-3 for pretty much the majority. You're up, I would say, for the majority of the game, and then you're up 17-3 going into the fourth, and Jalen Hurts throws the ball 38 times. That makes no sense. You're not in a shootout. You're not behind. Why would you go away from what has been your MO for the better part of 2 years now with Saquon Barkley? It doesn't make any sense. Like, the only defensible argument is, oh, we were just practicing and trying to see if we can win a game by only throwing the ball. But that doesn't make any sense. You already got the lead. Once you get the lead,
especially not against that Denver secondary. Like,
correct, against Surtain, who played well and had a few key deflections. It doesn't make any sense. Once you've gotten the lead at that point, then you should go to your bread and butter. You shouldn't try to just throw away games like that. And they pretty much did for the most part. It was kind of the story of the weekend. There were 6 double-digit comebacks this weekend. But this is one that, much like, actually, honestly, like a lot of them, this is one that should have been avoided. You can't 17-3 at home. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And I don't want to beat a dead horse because Jack's already kind of said that. But I completely agree. It makes no sense. It's kind of indescribable. And I don't know. I think this is just going to have to be something you deal with the entire year with Philly, because it doesn't seem like it's going to be something that changes. And it didn't feel that way in their post-game press conferences either.
Sure.
They were pretty... It felt like they were just kind of shrugging it off. And we're just, we're going to lose a game here and there. On to the next one.
Yeah, very fair. I have like another big storyline from this weekend, which I'll kind of let you take, JP, because you've been pretty adamant about the Cardinals' performance against the Titans. Another one of those double-digit comebacks, and that is one that definitely should not have happened. I was not watching that game. I went back and looked at some highlights, and I saw all the key blunders. The DeMarco losing the ball on like the inch-yard line.
I think he scored.
You think he scored?
Because he like reaches the. I mean, it's not relevant. It's in the past, so I'm not going to talk about it.
It was very
very
close.
bang.
It was very close. The pick to fumble, to scoop and score for the Titans, just bad all around. Your thoughts on that game, that second half especially?
Fire Brian Callahan. I don't care that the Titans won and that the Titans came from behind. He was terrible in this game as well, and he's been terrible in all 5 games this year. Yeah, the Cardinals led 21-6 at half. Then they had the ball inside the red zone with under 5 minutes left in the third. The snap hits Kyler in the head, as you said, Jack. For whatever reason, he decides he doesn't care to recover it. After he claims that he's like hurt and he's walking around like he's sick or something, and it makes no sense. It's fine. The Titans go 3 and out after it. Later in the fourth quarter, the DeMarcado, of course, breaks free. He's in the clear. He might have scored, might not have. I do wish they had gotten to a better review and a deeper review of that, because he might have actually scored. But regardless,
do we not have a goal line like pylon cam angle of that? I never saw it. I haven't seen it. And I don't know why you don't. Yeah, I don't know.
Regardless, they declare it's a fumble. It's a bonehead play by DeMarcado, and he deserves all of the flack from it, because at this point you cannot do that. Like that. That's just going to continue to be reiterated every single time it happens.
Yeah,
it's just inexcusable. Titans recover it. Ward finds Ridley for a 50-yard pass. Pollard scores a touchdown. Joey Sly misses another kick. That would be 5 out of his last 7 kicks at that point that he missed. 21-12. Cardinals lead. No big deal. Game should be over anyway. Cardinals win. They go 3-and-out. Ward drives again. Ward throws a pick. The player falls to the ground. He's untouched. By falling to the ground, he fumbles the ball. It's 3 different Cardinals have a chance to recover it. They punch it into the end zone, and the smallest guy in the entire field, Tyler Lockett, recovers it for a touchdown. Joey Sly makes the extra point, 19-21. 3 minutes left. No big deal. Cardinals should win. This game's over. 3 minutes left. 1 timeout for the Titans. 3 straight run plays from the Cardinals on 1st and 10 against one of the worst secondaries in the league in the Titans, and Kyler Murray was finding what he wanted. And when they were throwing it, too, Kyler was getting what he wanted in the scramble game. They punted the 2-minute warning. The Titans have the ball at the 18. No big deal. Just stop Cam Ward from going 40 to 50 yards with no timeouts. Ward finds a Okonkwo for 16. They go no huddle. Calvin Ridley beats your corner on a go route. 47-yard gain. They kick a field goal. They win it. The Cardinals are the Falcons of the West, as I've said now for 2 to 3 weeks, and they just have invented another way to lose. They are 2-3 when they should be 5-0, but they couldn't. They went for a 3rd down and 7, decided to throw it, gave Mac Jones time. Last week, you tell your kicker to kick it differently after he had been kicking it so well the entire game on kickoffs where he had gotten it on the 2-yard line every time, kick it short of the landing zone. Sam Darnold only has to go 20 yards, you lose. And then this, it's indescribable. It's inexcusable. It's a clear showing of both coaches should be fired. Jonathan Gannon should just be fired because you cannot lose games this way. As much as it is like DeMercado gets the flack for something like that happening, in my opinion, it's not necessarily his fault. Kyler Murray not jumping on the ball is not necessarily Kyler's fault. It's the coach's fault for discipline not being something that is a huge part of it, for fighting for every yard, every inch, for diving on loose balls. That's coaching. That is something that the great coaches do, and that's why you don't see the great teams make those kinds of mistakes, because those mistakes lose you games. And the Titans got to win. Cam Moore got his first win. Congrats to him, but he got handed that.
Yeah.
He didn't get handed that. He went out there and won it with the opportunities he had, but they never should have been in that game.
100%. It was both. He could not have won that game without help from the Cardinals.
Yeah.
I've seen people theorize that Kyler Murray got a concussion from the snap. That's why he was feeling sick and nauseous. I don't know if I believe that, but that's kind of one of the theories going
around. If he
had
a concussion, he would have been ruled out. He comes back in the game, so
yeah.
I don't know. It looked like he was. It almost looked like he was dealing with anxiety or something on the sideline when they showed him on the sideline. He had no clear injuries. It was clearly something up here for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But if he had a concussion, I think they would have ruled him out. They put him through concussion
100%.
protocol as well.
Yeah.
They reviewed him and nothing of it.
100%. Another big moment from this weekend or big result is the Patriots beating the Bills and handing the Bills their first loss. Drake May was quite good in that game, kind of his I'm here moment. I can hang with the big boys. I can knock off a good team. I can battle against the best and come up with the win. He was great. Stephon Diggs, a bit of a turning back of the clock game.
I told you that was a big trade.
10 receptions, 146 yards. Yeah. Well, we'll see if he can be consistent with it. Undeniably a great game from him. Somehow Ramondre Stevenson fumbles again and still leads the team.
Fumbled twice
in
the game.
And still leads the team in carries. Though he had 7, Gibson had 6, and Henderson had 6. And Henderson was the most efficient, but Ramondre Stevenson got the 2 touchdown rushes. So I'm just going to sit here and continue to fume.
He had 14 yards on 7. It's crazy.
Yeah.
He's averaging. When you have as many fumbles as you are averaging yards per carry, that's not good.
Well, yeah, no.
There's
There's no way to, because I'll be like, well, what if you fumble? Well, you don't want to fumble.
Yeah, if you fumble it one time, then you're averaging 1 yard a carry. Like,
or if you fumble 8 times, you fumble
Yeah.
8 times, but 8 yards per carry is pretty good.
I don't know. If I could get a running back that was averaging 40 yards a carry, but had 40, no, not worth it. No, it's just that's not good from Ramondre Stevenson. They ran a lot of like 2 running back sets. I saw they had Henderson and Stevenson on the field at the same time.
Yeah.
I really think, like, I don't know why. Also, Henderson's nameplate on the back of his jersey is tiny.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why they're using 6-point font or whatever,
I
but
don't know.
like it is very small. But yeah, they're just not using Henderson at all. And now Gibson goes down with a torn ACL, so I guess Stevenson's usage will go up. But I don't know.
No, we'll get there with Trayvon Henderson. I have trust. But yeah, Drake May, phenomenal. The rollout, throw down the sideline to the toe tap for Stephon Diggs, as well as the play where he has the defensive lineman draped all over him, and he's going down, but he manages to kind of ward him off and stay open long enough to find Diggs for the completion. He gets 10 yards late in the game.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that, just making plays that most quarterbacks, or a good amount of quarterbacks, wouldn't be able to make.
May was 5 for 6 on throws on the hash marks on the sideline. 5 for 6 on those completions. 22 for 30, 273. He was incredible. Stephon Diggs joins Terrell Owens and Brandon Marshall as the only players in NFL history with 10 receptions in a game for 4 different teams.
Wow.
Diggs has now done that with the Vikings, Bills, Texans, and Patriots. He was incredible. And now I think Vegas is showing that. And I feel the same way, and a few people in the media feel the same way, was that Drake May's coming out party is Stephon Biggs now.
Man, you just hate that guy. You
Stephon
can't say his name.
Diggs
Diggs, Biggs.
Wiggs coming up.
is the Cardi B relationship now putting him back in the superstar form, or was that just the Bills playing a really bad game, turning the ball over 3 times, and
For sure.
New England took advantage and made the plays when they needed, which they deserve the credit for? New England's only a 3.5-point favorite against the New Orleans Saints this weekend on the road. So that's for context. The Giants opened as 1.5-point favorites against the Saints. So Vegas is saying pump the brakes. I agree as well. I would like to see them put together that performance against New Orleans this weekend to kind of statement and say that, hey, that was us. You come off a huge emotional game, and then you have to go on the road. If they can do that, then I think we're talking about the Patriots in a good manner. But I'm not necessarily surprised. As I told you on my best bets, I felt like this was a great spot for the Patriots. Josh Allen hasn't played well against them in his last 4 games now. He's 2-2 against New England. Drake May, in the 1 game he played against Buffalo last year, he was really good, and the Patriots played them close. You add Mike Vrabel with better coaching, kind of inarguably much better weapons than they had in that game last year, and I just felt like they were going to be able to make the plays they could to keep it close. And also 9 points was way too many. But I should have told y'all Patriots money line, because it's kind of as soon as that game started and got going, it just felt like New England was probably going to – they had a better chance to win this game than it felt like maybe with the Dolphins game 2 weeks ago, where it felt like the Dolphins were in the game, but they never were going to win that game.
Yeah.
It did not feel that way watching New England this weekend. So an incredible performance, but I want to see him put it together a second time, because at the same time, like, if Buffalo didn't turn the ball over as much as they did, New England is still dealing with fumble troubles with Ramondre Stevenson, and that's going to cost them games again going forward. It lost them the Steelers game already this year. So they've got to still clean a lot of stuff up. But a big, big win, a marquee win for Mike Vrabel in his first year in New England.
Yeah. And something like, I agree, pumping the brakes on New England is good, because not to take away from the win, but Buffalo's defense has never been the thing that like is carrying that team. It's Josh Allen. Josh Allen has carried that team, and he's doing it again this year. I mean, defensively, they are average to slightly below average, giving up 22.6 points a game, over 5.5 yards per carry. So yeah, defensively, they're definitely not elite. They're not at the bottom of the league, but it's a shout out to Drake May for taking advantage of that opportunity. But it's not like he was going up against the Packers or the Browns and had that kind of night. So that's another thing is, it is on the road, so he has that. But I just like the Bills are not the same defense they were 2 or 3 years ago.
That's fair. I mean, consistency is definitely needed. I mean, they're the team that lost to the Raiders to open the season. But to know that high-end performance is in there is something I think Patriots fans are very happy about. To know that Drake May can play at that level is something they needed to see because Josh Allen's going to be in your division for a while. That's a game that you're going to have to win down the line and, subsequent seasons where there's a little more riding on the season and on that game, for example. So I loved what I saw personally. But
Yeah. Anything else?
Any other key takeaways, JP Sanders?
No.
Cool.
Nothing else.
Were there any other big injuries besides Amari and Hampton? We'll get to that.
Yeah, we will. Antonio Gibson tore his ACL. I'm sure there were many others. Terrion Arnold's going to miss some time.
Yeah,
Yep.
he's going to miss a while.
Report came out about an hour ago. Second opinion, injury not as bad as initially feared, may miss less than a month. We'll see.
Cool. No, nothing else injury. Lamar's not going to play this weekend. He's a long shot at this point, so
Sure.
it'll be Cooper Rush again. So nightmares for Ravens. They're
What
kinda
happened to Huntley?
staring down the
Still
barrel
there?
of. He's still.
He's still at Baltimore?
I don't think he's with Baltimore.
About to say, I feel like he's a better option at backup than
Too late now.
Yeah. but
I don't disagree.
I feel like
I don't
he
think they just didn't
matches
have any plan really in
Lamar's
place.
style
Yeah.
more than he brings more as a rushing threat than Cooper Rush does.
I would also argue it's just not a good matchup regardless who's playing quarterback.
Yeah.
Playing the Texans defense, and then you're going to have to play the Rams defense as well. The Ravens had, I think, it was either 1 or 2 drives that were not a 3-and-out this weekend. They had 7 straight 3-and-outs at one point against Houston. That's just how good Houston's defense is. I don't care who's really playing quarterback, unless it's Lamar.
Yeah.
The Ravens just weren't going to be in a good spot there. So Lamar is not expected to play. George
Huntley is there. He's on the practice squad.
Yeah.
Wow.
But he
All
is
right.
there.
George Kittle has a chance to play this weekend. Saquon has some knee trouble issues, but they talked about it as in he was feeling bad after the game and not during the game, so that doesn't explain the lack of carries.
Sure.
They play on Thursday. He didn't practice Monday. Nobody practices Monday for a Thursday week. So those reports, there's nothing to worry about there. And as a Saquon owner in 3 leagues, there's nothing to worry about. I think he's going to play Thursday.
Are you especially triggered then at Saquon's usage since you have him in 3 leagues?
It does not help. Now I will say he's putting together fine performances. I think he's still top 5 in terms of running backs for fantasy this year, which I would have taken for a first-round pick, considering how good the running backs are up there, up at the top with B. John, Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon, CMC this year.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with it right now.
Cool.
And in fact, it's hopeful for me because I expect it to go up. I just expect the production to go up at some point. He's yet to rush for 100 yards, so
Yeah, fair
that's
enough.
going to happen at some point. He's too good for it not to happen, and the offensive line is too good. But I think that's it from an injury perspective.
Cool. Well, let's
Yeah.
get into the specific game breakdowns of the games we previewed last Thursday. First one, Tampa Bay at Seattle. A bit of a shootout back and forth. Baker Mayfield's dealing, Sam Darnold's dealing. But in the end, the Buccaneers come out with the win, 38-35. A bounce back from their loss. Baker yet again shows he can do it. Kind of in clutch time, in crunch time at the end of the game. But one of the more fun games of the afternoon or this day slate, I would say. Key takeaways from this game, guys?
Well, you forgot to mention that Sam Darnold was also excellent.
I said they were going back and forth. I said Baker was dealing, Darnold was dealing.
Okay.
So they were both great. I'm
I
not
just-
trying to throw shade at Darnold.
My biggest takeaway is I just want to make sure Sam Darnold gets his flowers because this game is not on him. This is one of those games that it sucks that someone has to lose it because both teams were playing so excellent. This was a 5 out of 5 Chalai Classic. If you're on the Josh Pates scale,
Is it irreverent to use Chalai ratings for NFL games, given he's a college football show?
I don't
Kind
think
of.
so.
But just to put context to it, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
That's fair.
I thought this was the best game of the season. I thought this is better than the Bills Ravens game. This was back and forth. This was just incredible football. Just the highlights is you just watch the highlights from the NFL YouTube channel, Cinema. This was incredible, but this game's not on Sam whatsoever. His defense, I would just characterize it as a bad week and having to play Baker Mayfield.
Secondary was beat up too, so just an especially bad time to catch Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sam led them down the field on the second drive of the game. Their first drive, they miss a field goal. Jason Myers missed another field goal. The next time they touch the ball, they're down 6. Jalen Monroe comes in. They run speed option. Jalen Monroe throws a terrible pitch. They turn the ball over. That was in plus territory as well. So that's 2 scoring drives that Sam kind of got shafted on that were not his fault whatsoever because he was literally not on the field for either of the 2 plays. So if Sam gets any kind of flack for this game, I just hate it. They're 2 better pass protections away from being 5-0, but this is the nature of the game. You're 3-2 now instead. He ends up losing the game because they just don't have good pass protection. Their guard gets pushed over into Sam's window. He throws it. It bounces off of his teammate's helmet, the offensive lineman's helmet, and is picked by Levante David. Otherwise, it would have been on the money. Sam Darnold was, I think he was 7 for 8 completions on third down. He was incredible this entire game. And with all that said, Baker was better.
Yep.
And that's why Baker ended up winning the game. He is now has 4 game-winning drives in 5 games, 3 of which have been on the road. They have just been incredible. Emeka Egbuka is a superstar. I'll go ahead and say that. Him versus JSN, that was just cinema the entire game. And then he had like A.J. Barner and Cotton was get into it a lot. He had a couple big plays throughout the game. It was cinema. The best game of the weekend, I think the best game of the year.
Baker was 29 for 33 on the day, which is just unreal
That was a
efficiency.
Hubbard Snock defense right there.
So you love to see that. One of the questions I had, and you just touched on Egbuka being a superstar already, is he is a top what receiver in the NFL right now, like already through 5 weeks of his rookie season.
Top 10 for sure.
I was gonna say top 8 or top 10.
And I think you get into that argument like he could be top 5 because he's already proving immediately like if he's the number 1 option, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He's going to be productive. He's going to get past the secondary. He destroyed the secondary on 2 different post routes today, and Baker threw 2 beautiful balls to hit Egbuka. But top 10,
Okay.
I'd say it's insane. Another Ohio State great. Them and LSU just
Churn him out.
pump
Factories.
guys that are just insanely good. So up next is Carnell Tate. Go ahead and get him as your next superstar, and then we'll have Jeremiah Smith.
And then there'll be someone else in line. Chris Henry
LSU
is
is gonna be
right now.
Yeah, LSU is going to be Aaron Anderson. That guy
Sure.
is unbelievably quick.
The next guy out of Ohio State is Quincy Porter,
Yeah.
5-star freshman. I
Okay.
have him in the College Keeper League.
I think, honestly, if like Kyron Lacey, God willing, was still alive, that he would have been in this kind of conversation as well.
100%.
It's insane how much they pump these guys out. But Baker was incredible the entire game. They picked apart one of the best defenses in the league on the road, and that will be reflected in a segment later in the show. But it's one of those games I have nothing negative really to say because I thought both teams were just incredible the entire day. They fought, they answered, and eventually at the end of the game, like, the ball didn't bounce the Seahawks' way, and it bounced the Buccaneers' way, and that's why you love football, and that's what's so magical about it is stuff like that can happen. So all the credit to Tampa Bay, but I wouldn't.
No reason to knock Seattle at all.
No, not at all.
Because another thing I love to see from Seattle is they showed the ability to be kind of a pass-first offense with how good Tampa Bay's rush defense is. 34 passes with 20 rushes for Seattle for a team that's pretty run-first and off the play-action pass to show that they can adapt. Which they ran the ball just fine, but still to show that they can adapt if the run game for, say, a game isn't there, that Sam Darnold can be very efficient when more of the onus and burden is on him was great to see.
Yeah, then Tampa Bay did not have as great a day rushing. Do we think that's Bucky Irving injury related or just kind of going against that Seattle defensive line?
I've watching it was the Seattle defensive line.
Okay.
They were really good. And Rashad White and Sean Tucker are not guys that are going to run well against Seattle. And also with the injuries in the offensive line for the Buccaneers, it never felt like they were going to be able to run the ball well. So I wouldn't have much issue with that. It doesn't matter when you're able to go 29 for 33. Baker had completions on 3rd and 13 for 57 yards to Ibuka. He had a completion on 3rd and 15 to Ibuka for a touchdown, 20 yards. He also had a completion on 3rd and 14, 17 yards to Cade Otton. So even they were getting behind the sticks a ton, especially in the second half, and it would not matter for much of the entire game. Baker was able to find someone on a huge play. So even like they were able to answer the bell for not being able to run the ball and having negative plays throughout the game.
Yeah, I completely agree. Anything else? Any other takeaways or anything y'all want to point out before we get on to the next game?
Yes,
Okay.
I would like to go ahead and throw my my chips into the pot and say that this will be the NFC Championship game at the end of the year.
Wow.
We'll hold you to that. You're
Assuming
first.
they're not on the same side of the bracket or don't have to play each other before that.
So would you feel so you could just say I think these teams will match up in the playoffs? But I mean that takes away from the boldness of the claim.
Because that could just be the wild card round.
Yeah.
Especially with how good the NFC West is with Seattle and the Rams and the 49ers.
Yeah. Have the Seahawks played any of their conference opponents yet?
Yeah, they played Arizona.
Well,
they played
count.
San Francisco.
They lost that game.
And they lost to San Francisco and beat the Cardinals last week. So they have not played the Rams yet. They've played 2 conference or divisional games. But yeah, I think these are the 2 best teams in the NFC. And I think when the moment gets to its, at least at this point, Sam Darnold is showing that he's fine. He can play well. That'll be the biggest question. I think Tampa Bay, I think, is in the NFC Championship really regardless of what happens. I think they're that good. And as long as Baker stays healthy, I don't think it really matters who they have. He's a gamer, and they're going to make plays in the postseason. Seattle will just be, is Sam Darnold going to be a pumpkin in the 2 biggest games of the season like he was last year? Because this isn't necessarily much different than how he was playing with Minnesota prior to the Lions game and the Rams game. But I think it's the 2 best teams in the NFC right now. I think these are the 2 teams that are better than Philly, and they're better than Green Bay, the 49ers. Even though Philly beat Tampa Bay, for me, I just didn't feel like that was, like I said last week, it didn't necessarily feel like it was Tampa Bay that lost this game. It's just like the momentum didn't go their way. Your punts blocked for a touchdown immediately off the bat. Like, if they played again, I think it would be Tampa Bay all day. So, NFC Championship, you heard it here first.
Okay.
After Week 5, Tampa Bay and Seattle, I would assume in Tampa Bay.
That
Okay.
kind of assumes that Sam Darnold does not choke in the playoffs for a second year in a row.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's a believer.
Another question: is there anyone you want quarterbacking your team with 2 minutes left, down, other than Baker Mayfield right now?
I'd still take Mahomes.
Yeah.
But he's the for sure second right now. That's kind of undebatable. He does such a good job at picking the right moments, and it seems like he always finds the correct read, and finds the correct moment. And then he has the Mahomes ability, which is really his own ability. It's kind of been his ability his entire career. He's arguably the slowest guy in the field, but it doesn't matter. He's going to escape the sack. He's going to run past you. He's going to get by you, and he can pick up third downs when he needs to. He picked up the fourth down against Houston, as we saw, that won them that game. So having that, which is something that Mahomes is incredible at as well, I think he's second on the list right now. I'd still take Patrick.
I think it's so funny that it's those two guys because the thing that ties them together, that college game, final score 66-59. They were like over 1,500 yards of offense or something. So a wild 10 years later, 9 years later.
Interesting. We have
We
a
wanna-
question.
we wanna wrap that
I
up
would
and
like
then-
to address the question from Derpy Entertainment. Derpy, welcome to the show, or Mr. Entertainment, if that's your name as well. I'd be surprised if they did. The Saints, that is. I don't think Pittsburgh at this point feels like they need Chris Olave. Unless trading him for a third-round pick might make sense. But DK is playing pretty good so far this season. They're 3-1 going into the bye, and they come out and they host the Browns this weekend, so they'll be 4-1 more than likely. If they lose to Dylan Gabriel, then panic kind of sets in. But there's been rumors for guys all the time, it feels like, for Pittsburgh to get, and that it hasn't really solidified. This is not a team that makes those kinds of moves at that position. Like the George Pickens move was kind of surprising for the most part. Freiermuth, we don't need Freiermuth. I hope we don't trade for Pat Freiermuth because we have Taysom Hill and Juwan Johnson. So there's really no reason for that. I'd rather just get like a second-round pick if that's possible. The Saints, I don't mind trading Olave.
I feel like if you're going to trade him, there are other places that would want him more. Patriots, Titans are the two teams that come to mind with young quarterbacks where you want to bring in a guy that can Olave's still young. He's not even out of his rookie contract yet, I don't think. Or if he's in his...
I think he's in his fifth-year option.
Okay, so he's still very young. I mean, he's got probably he's not in his prime. He'll probably hit his prime the next year or two. So if you can bring him in and he hits his prime next to Cam Ward or to give Drake May that option, if you want to trade him away and you want to put him out of the conference, that's kind of the expectation when you trade away good players.
I'm not worried about trading him in the conference.
Yeah.
That's not really necessarily a concern. But I'd rather him return. We'd have the money for him, and he's such a crucial piece for whoever the quarterback ends up being the rest of the year and next year because he is an incredible safety valve. He's an incredible route runner. He gets open intermediate and short. He's not great over the top, but that's why you have Rashid Shaheed. He's just a guy who gets open and he catches and makes really tough catches. So it's kind of your quarterback's best friend. And for a young quarterback like Spencer Rattler or Tyler Shuck or, God willing, Lenora Sellers, you need a guy like Chris Olave. And he also hasn't produced at a level that he's going to demand a big-time contract. So it doesn't necessarily make sense to trade him unless the package is good, which for me would be a second-round pick. But I'm not trading him for Pat Freiermuth and a third-round pick. We have too many tight ends, and that's just not enough capital as well on top of that.
I think that, and if you were able to re-sign him to, probably wide receiver 2A money, he's not going to be demanding high-end wide receiver 1 money, there's a much better chance that he develops into like a really high-end wide receiver, maybe top 15, maybe even top 10. I don't know. He's still, like I said, young. But the odds of him developing and competing for like being an elite wide receiver, I think, are a lot higher than him taking a step back and getting worse as a 26-year-old.
Yeah. I just don't see him making. So Mike Evans right now makes $20 million. Cooper Kupp makes $15 million. Like, I feel like that's about his range. He high end is like $25 million, and that's Nico Collins, Devontae Smith, Jamison Williams, and even that is still fine money for him. Anything higher than that, that's like $30 million, and that's where you want a guy who's as productive as that. Also, the Steelers, like, they're gonna have to pay him, and that doesn't make sense because they already paid DK Metcalf $33 million a year.
Who's in the $33 million range? Is that DK and who else?
So $33 million right now is. So AJ Brown's 32, Garrett Wilson is 32.5, 33 for DK, 34 for CD, 35 for Jay Jettas, and $40 million for Jamar Chase. There's three other guys that are paid $30 million: Amon-Ra St. Brown, Tyreek Hill, and Brandon Ayuk. So it doesn't make sense for you to get $33 million for DK Metcalf and then also pay probably just north of $20 million for Chris Olave without a quarterback in place either. Because
you're not going to get one this year because you're not going to draft in the top 10.
I don't think they're going to draft high enough unless you're going to put your faith in a guy who's fallen to you. So,
yeah, fair. We have a trade involving one of our teams.
Correct.
Which actually fits nicely with our next preview we're going to do. Or not preview, excuse me. Recap.
Who did this just happen?
The Chargers have traded safety Alohi Gilman and a 2026 fifth-round pick to the Ravens for edge Odafe Owe and Rams 7th in 2027.
Okay.
I personally like the move for the Ravens more than I like it for the Chargers. But I understand the move for both. The Chargers' pass rush, especially without Khalil Mack, has not been there. Owe has not had the season, or at least the start to the season that he had last year. He's kind of been the Ravens' fourth edge rusher. And as for the Ravens, they need defensive back help. And I've liked what I've seen from Gilman a lot this season so far through the first 5 weeks. So if I had initial thoughts, I'd give a slight win to the Ravens for this trade, but I don't really see this being a move that,
impacts on
moves the needle too much for either of these teams.
Who is the other? They've got Hamilton, and then don't they have another safety back there?
Malachi Starks.
Yeah, they got Malachi Starks. So
yeah.
Let me go see. So it's a safety, Gilman?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you're trading, I guess, away a 4-string edge rusher, it's not a huge deal, but I just feel like safety for them was not at all a need.
Well, Kyle Hamilton's banged up right now.
Yeah. And Starks is a rookie, right?
Starks is a rookie.
Yeah.
So I think it's a depth move, and I think they were ready to move on from Owe because Owe's also on an expiring contract.
Yep.
So
he's in the last year, yeah. He's in his 5th year, I guess. He was a former first-round pick. Okay.
Yeah. So
cool.
That's that. But now we can get into the Chargers game that transpired on Sunday. The Washington Commanders go cross-country and visit the Los Angeles Chargers. Both are sitting. The Chargers are 2-2. No.
3-1.
3-1. The Commanders are 2-2. Really need to pick up this win. Jaden Daniels is back. But they find themselves down 10-0 early before Quentin Johnson fumbles, and from there the game flips. Chargers end up winning 20. No. Holy crap. The Commanders end up winning 27-10. I botched that so badly. Big win for my Commanders. Terrible showing for Sanders Chargers. I know you didn't get to watch the game. But
that's putting it lightly.
We're approaching disaster for the Chargers after a brilliant start to the season. O-line is terrible. Can't block anyone. Amir Hampton goes down. It's announced he's going to go on the IR. Quentin Johnson fumbles at an opportune moment. Crucial penalties. At one point in the game, it's like 1st and 10, and I think there's maybe a pre-snap penalty, so it's it's 1st and deep. Justin Herbert completes a deep pass for like 20-plus yards, first down.
It was 2nd down.
Second
Deep.
down, yeah.
But
Second
yes.
down deep. Completes a deep pass, first down, called back for a penalty. He's like, all right, I'll just do it again. Even deeper pass, complete, first down, called back again for a penalty.
Yeah, first one to Quentin Johnston, which caught it right past the sticks, penalty for holding. Keenan Allen catches it just prior to the sticks, makes a guy miss, first down, called back for illegal formation.
Yes.
And they had to punt after picking up 2 30-plus yard gains for the air.
Another bad moment right before half. Commanders are still struggling offensively. They're backed up deep. They're punting from their own end zone. Y'all decide to go for the punt. We get the punt off. Ladd McConkey returns it for a touchdown. But wait, there's a flag. Y'all have roughed the punter. First down. Jaden Daniels immediately hits Luke McCaffrey for a 50-yard pass to get us points before the half. We shout out Luke McCaffrey. That was a great catch and a great ball.
Yes.
Just great stuff. And then second half, it just kind of became ground and pound with Bill Krosky Merritt.
There's a critical moment where clock is pouring rain out there. Third, I think it was either third or fourth down. Chargers decide, I think it was fourth because the Chargers decided they were going to go for it. Yes, it was 4th and 2. Chargers decide they're going to go for it. We decide, okay, we're going to switch our package out, and they sub a guy out, and Tyler Conklin's supposed to come in.
I saw this
And
play.
Herbert is just sitting there waiting for Conklin to come in, and we didn't really get a view of that because they were just showing the huddle. But Herbert is basically saying like this: "Hurry up, get into the huddle," because they have to call the play from the huddle so Tyler knows what it is.
This is so bad.
And
I
he
saw
rushes
this
in
play.
really late, and then it's thrown to Tyler Conklin, and right before he goes to catch it, he wipes his hands on his pants to get like sweat or whatever
It was
off
his towel. He had a towel in
Okay.
his bag.
Yeah, it goes behind the back for the towel, which
and
is
it
even worse.
goes right through his hands, and
because he doesn't get him up
It
in
was
time.
so dumb. I'm so glad I didn't get to watch this game. I might have lost it. It was
We have another moment, too, in the game where, and I don't know what the hierarchy here is supposed to be, but Justin Herbert's talking to his offensive line,
Yes.
trying to identify who's hot, and then Bozeman, the center, just goes and changes what Patrick Mahomes just told him to do and swaps the slide to
Justin
the other
Herbert?
side. Yeah, Justin Herbert. Sorry.
you good.
And slides it the other way.
Correct.
And so they're just
And so Herbert identifies a guy who's blitzing off the right side, and tells the protection that, hey, we've got a guy blitzing off the right side. We've got to shift right. Their center says no right before he snaps it, so they don't go to that protection, snap it, and the defensive tackle just runs through. It's a complete bust, and Herbert gets pressured immediately. So just awful.
Yeah.
Genuinely awful football from the Chargers, and a good game from Jaden Daniels,
Yeah.
a great game from Bill Krosky Merritt. He had 5 or 6 missed tackles. He forced 6 missed tackles, resulting in 55 additional yards after those missed tackles. So he was incredible. He well-deserved player of the game. Thankfully, I've held on to him, and now I can really sell him high here in the next few weeks with fantasy football, or keep him, especially if like Saquon gets hurt. But he was incredible. Deebo Samuel
he's been playing great. It's been a great savvy pickup from the front office.
yes, he's just been perfect, and he's played so well. He goes 8 of his 11 targets for 96 yards. He was incredible. Jane Daniels was great. Herbert was fine, but it just
Didn't have a chance, really.
didn't have a chance. He had plays called back due to penalties. You miss critical plays at key moments. You, again, could not run the football.
Yeah, pick on the
against-
goal line.
Yeah, pick on the goal line, which was bad. It was a bad showing from the Chargers, a great showing from the Commanders.
It got so bad at one point, Deebo Samuel and Jaden Daniels are practicing a touchdown celebration before the play, and then proceed to throw the touchdown and then celebrate in the end zone.
I saw that.
The game was the game ended up being that easy for the Commanders, a team that I was dogging on before this game, basically saying the vibes are low, we're not playing well defensively, and the Chargers basically said we'll do you one better and basically bad perform you. And it's just a huge win for the Commanders to get to 3-2.
Yeah, and now Marion Hampton. The injuries have just gotten to, and it's crazy that I was expecting injuries to come. I really thought it was going to be Keenan Allen, and that might still happen.
He's due.
But it's
It's
kind of
coming.
it's crazy that all these young guys are the ones going down. Najee Harris in his mid-20s. Omarion Hampton goes down. Linemen are getting hurt. It's
Joe Walton, Slater are both really young still.
Mekhi Becton. He's probably drafted in like 2019.
He's
so
pretty injury plagued though. That's
Yeah,
one you
that
kind of
is
see
true.
coming.
Yeah, the offensive line injuries hurt them. The Commanders averaged a 2.25 second time to pressure against the Chargers. 9 of their 13 pressures were under 2.5 seconds. So snap, pressure.
Yeah.
That's how much time Herbert had on a lot of them. And speaking of Jaden Daniels, he now has become the fastest quarterback in NFL history to reach 1,000 career rushing yards.
Shout out him. He's so
Y'all
good,
talk about the
man.
Commanders. I'm going to be right back. I got to do something.
Okay.
He's had a tough start to the season. Obviously, with the
Yeah.
injury, didn't help, and then he was not necessarily great statistically against the Giants, and of course bad against the Packers. But I think that was such a huge game for Washington in re-solidifying them as one of the contenders in the NFC. Chargers played terrible, but you won that game going away. You never really let them control the game, and I think the biggest concern coming to the week was Jaden with coming off the injury and with how well the Chargers were playing defensively. Jaden was going to get eaten alive like he did on Thursday night against the Packers, and that did not happen.
The offensive line of the Commanders is slowly coming around after a brutal first couple weeks of the season, which they were, Packers defensive line and Giants defensive line. But we're slowly circling back around. Sam Cosmi's finna be back at guard, which is going to be huge.
Massive.
Connerly's progressing well at tackle. There it is. Crazy time to unveil it.
That just came in?
No, you see what happened was I got it, and then I took it with us to College Station. And then I was like, well, I'll break it out if we win. And then we lost. And then I was like, well, this is kind of depressing. I don't want to break it after a loss. But then I was like, that makes me sound like a fair weather fan.
Sure.
So I'm rocking it because I'm still a Chargers fan. Justin Herbert's my guy. I don't know what y'all talking about. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're
but,
good. The Commanders' offensive line is hopefully turned a corner. That does look good, though.
Appreciate it. It's pretty fire.
I love Justin Herbert myself.
Yeah.
I am happy we beat him. But no, at this point, any win for the Commanders was a good win. And you just kind of liked what you saw overall. We've become a team under Dan Quinn where we have a knack for making the kind of momentum swing plays, thinking about forcing the fumble on Quentin Johnson, pick on the goal line, stuff like that. And that also plays really well into what the Chargers' weakness has really been this season. Because even in the games they won, a lot of times it was like, how is this a close game in the fourth quarter? And it's like, well, because you threw a pick in the red zone, or you didn't convert on a fourth down, or you had a bad penalty here, and it just lets teams hang around. And a similar story in this game, they just didn't win it because they fell off a cliff down the stretch. Well, you're up 10-0 with the ball driving, and he fumbles, and then the momentum flips, and they never look back. So it's kind of two teams on the opposite side in that category of like being the team that makes the big plays.
Yeah, they've been very opportunistic, and that is something that...
Which they have to be because the defense is not good overall.
Agreed, 100%. Now, Marshawn Lattimore had a good game. He, on 41 coverage snaps, allowed only one catch for 6 yards against the Chargers wide receiver core, which has been really good this year. He also had the fumble recovery on Quentin Johnston as well, so he was making some big plays, but he still has got a lot to do to live up to the third-round pick that y'all traded last year.
Yeah, I don't like him.
I don't.
We don't have a choice. We have to play him, and I know the trade didn't work out, but I don't hate the process of the trade last year.
Sure.
But he's over the hill.
Yeah, I was gonna say with that, I think they may need to do something similar this year and trade for someone for their defense, and trade some of their draft capital for that, because you're not guaranteed to have great Jaden Daniel years every year, and it's also just his second season. He's still on the cheap contract, so go and trade for someone, and try and bolster that defense, because with the way the offense is playing, at least, even without Terry McLaurin, they are playing really, really well. And they're just going to get better. It feels like, at least.
I think best case scenario, like maybe the Steelers regress, like they stop winning games, and then Jalen Ramsey becomes available because he might want to be on a win now team. You could get him at the deadline. I don't expect the Steelers to get worse, but maybe Aaron Rodgers gets hurt or something. But he's the kind of guy that I think that would be like older. I know you bring him in for a year or two because that's kind of how y'all's team is built right now.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say we are a win now team. I know Jaden Daniels is young, and a couple other key pieces are young, so I don't want to mortgage our future to try and win this year. But we have a lot of old pieces that are crucial to this team, so you can't just sit on your hands and do nothing. The best solution would have been to just draft Christian Gonzalez over Emmanuel Forbes, and we'll be having this conversation.
Yes.
But I won't even say hindsight's 20/20 because I knew at the time, and a lot of Commanders fans knew at the time, that we wanted Christian Gonzalez, not Emmanuel Forbes. But the GM at the time decided Emmanuel Forbes was the guy because he get lots of picks and lots of pick sixes. So
He
it
did.
is what it is.
He did do that.
He did.
Against your Aggies as well.
He stepped out of bounds on that one, but it
I
happens.
disagree. I had a perfect view of it live
Sure.
in person.
I was right there as well. So
Live in living color.
one of the few games I've been at.
Big win for the Commanders. They moved to 3-2. The Eagles losing. Now they're just a game back of the Eagles, and that did not feel like that was going to be the case. After you lose Thursday
Sure.
night, Jaden Daniels is hurt, so that's a good thing for the Commanders. And also, you knew it was going to happen because the football gods said so, and the NFC East is not going to have a repeat division winner this year,
100%.
so you knew the Commanders were going to turn it around at some point, and maybe it's still the Cowboys. Who knows?
I was going to say, the Giants will win this division before the Eagles win this division. Like this
Okay.
year. Well, just
Yeah.
because, like,
Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. Yes.
based off the logic of, no repeat winners. Before we're in this segment, Sanders, I feel like you're getting a crash course on being a Chargers fan, as
Yeah.
this is year one.
Yes.
You've talked about it briefly, but like your thoughts on this team, what you need to kind of see for the turnaround to happen. Is there any hope?
It feels exactly like being a Mississippi State fan right now, and that is we're just getting absolutely screwed by injuries. And I get that injuries are a part of football, but to have 3 offensive linemen be hurt by week 3 is not great. Now our our running backs 1 and 2 both hurt. One out for the season, the other got put on IR, and Marion Hampton. It's not good. And immediately kind of feels like Khalil Mack gets hurt as well. So it immediately feels like after the first 2 weeks, I was impressed with the supporting cast of Justin Herbert. And now it feels like, well, they're all hurt, so we're kind of back to not having a great supporting cast. The weapons are still good with McConkey and Johnston and Keenan Allen. And I will say this, is I'm just looking at their schedule. They go to Miami this weekend. And then you get the Colts and the Vikings both at home, and you go to the Titans. You could very easily win 3 of those games. You've got to win at the Dolphins, and you got to win at the Titans. And then you ideally pick up a win against either the Colts or the Vikings. Both those teams are good teams, but they're both at home. Like, you hope you should go 3-1 in that stretch.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you don't have home field advantage.
That is true. It is true.
I think that even showed this weekend against the Commanders. It felt like more Commanders fans were cheering in big moments than Chargers fans.
It's not great. It's not a good look.
It's not. It is their fault. It's the owner's fault
For moving?
For moving. Yes.
Yeah.
They
Last-
never should have left San
The
Diego.
Rams are in the exact same situation.
Yes.
Which the Rams makes a little bit less sense to me because they were in Los Angeles for a long time before moving to St. Louis. I think they've been where
They were in the Coliseum for
Yeah.
USC Stadium.
yeah, and so I think that was from like up into the 90s, maybe.
Yes,
So I mean, they had moved from St. Louis back to Los Angeles, and
but
like
that's 2 generations, or a generation.
it's
I
like
should say.
20 years.
That's a
A generation.
It's like a
of
generation,
separation.
but like I don't hate it as much because, and I mean, this is a big tangent. It's kind of like, the guys, the dads that grew up going to the games in the Coliseum, now a generation later are going to bring their sons to the Rams. It makes sense for them. For the Chargers, it doesn't make any sense. I don't know why they
Sure.
left. I wasn't a fan at the time. I wish that they were still in San Diego because then I'd be a Padres and a Chargers fan. It'd be great. But yeah, it makes 0 sense.
Yeah.
You get the benefit of like paying for half a stadium, I guess. I don't know. That's not worth it. Because watching what game was it? They won it. I think
Thursday night game, Rams Niners.
it was the Broncos game.
Mm.
And how much orange there was in that stadium was so bad. I mean, it was awful. So yeah.
I will say on the O-line injuries, it is brutal. I guess the X algorithm never ceases to amaze me. You like one Chargers thing, and suddenly there's 18 million Chargers fans on your homepage. But a lot of fans are pissed at the GM and Harbaugh for not doing more to prepare the O-line for this in the preseason, because the interior O-line was bad last year, and all I did was add Mekhi Becton, who's injury prone. So obviously losing your tackles sucks, but they're still pretty upset overall at the lack of fixing last season's issues. So I don't know if you have any.
Sorry, I was reading a
agree or
tweet. What did you
disagree.
say?
A lot of Chargers fans are upset at the GM and coach,
Yeah.
Harbaugh. I don't know the GM's name, but for not doing more to address the interior O-line in the offseason,
Mm-hmm.
because it was bad last year, and all you did was sign Mekhi Becton, who, shocker, got hurt, as he normally does, and they didn't draft one. And obviously they didn't know that all pro tackles were going to get hurt. But they're just very frustrated with that, and they feel like it's a problem that could have been at least somewhat avoided in terms of the interior offensive line not being this terrible.
Yeah, I will say, I mean, offensive line is like one of the hardest positions in football to address just because there's so much demand for them. And also, I don't know if there's a shortage of good offensive line or if the large demand makes it feel like there's a shortage. So that's the one thing I'll say is, like, addressing offensive line is hard. I've seen people mad about other mistakes, like not re-signing Poona Ford. He had a great game with the Rams on Thursday. Was that Thursday night game?
Yeah.
And people were posting highlights of that, being like, I can't believe we let this guy walk. He was super cheap. So I do think there's frustration with how the team is being managed. But offensive line, that's when you've got 2-star offensive tackles and you know you're going to have to spend money on them to extend both of them. Or I don't know. I think they're both still on their rookie contracts, right?
Slater got the
Did Slater
payday
get
and
his?
then
Okay,
got hurt.
Slater got extended. But you're going to have to extend Alt, or at least you expect to if he continues to be elite. And so I can see why you wouldn't want to spend resources on an interior offensive line when you think that the guards or the tackles are enough to kind of make up for some of the shortages interior-wise.
Yeah, that's what happens when you try and have people make up for other issues, other shortcomings.
Well, I mean, every NFL team has shortcomings.
Yeah.
So, like, you just kind of have to do what you can.
Better, lesser shortcomings than the Chargers' offensive line. But let's get into this last game we previewed, and that's the Monday Night Football game.
Yes.
The Chiefs go to the Jaguars, and they start off hot. They get a lead before the Jaguars come storming back, and this game had some chaos moments. You get the pick play on the goal line that they throw the flag for, and then Mahomes runs up and is like, 1 yard, 1 yard, 1 yard. And so they wave off the flag, touchdown.
Crazy.
You get the Trevor Lawrence pick where the Chiefs player just does a good job boxing out the wide receiver. No pass interference called, so the Chiefs get the ball. You have the Trevor Lawrence play where he reaches for the goal line and gets knocked out. The Mahomes pass that's picked off in return for 99 yards. Trevor Lawrence falling over and then getting up and running in for a touchdown while Chris Jones stands there watching. Crazy stuff all around, but the Jaguars win 31-28. They're now 4-1. Liam Cohen's done a fantastic job there, and the Chiefs are 2-3. Big takeaways from this game, guys?
I mean, it felt like classic Kansas City. The referees getting involved. It was crazy watching that game and feeling like the refs were actually just going to give it to them. The first one, we never saw like a pylon cam to like get the exact, like, was he beyond a yard? And so I don't hate the call. I hate how it was handled. The fact that Mahomes and Kelsey were in the referee's face telling him, we have 1 yard, and they pick it up. That bothers me. If you don't throw the flag, or if you throw it and then the referees huddle up and then they choose, someone else had better angle, which no one else did. I mean, he's standing on the sideline looking down the line of scrimmage. He has the best point of view. I don't hate the call because I couldn't see an exact camera angle to know, were they beyond a yard. I just hate the way it was managed. The missed pass interference was atrocious. Did you even mention the Trevor Lawrence, like, the way he fell over?
Picking his nose?
Yeah.
No, I mentioned
Did do that.
the Trevor Lawrence falling over and scoring a touchdown. The pick of the nose thing was crazy, though. Brody's eating his boogers on the sideline, and then
I
goes
missed
and wins
that.
leads a game-winning drive, like not a care in the world. I'm starting to question the height of Trevor Lawrence's IQ number in some ways, but he got the job done. So
You're just now starting to question it?
I think I'm questioning even more than I once was.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like the smartest tool in the
No,
shed out there at any point.
He his last 15 minutes of the game picked a booger on national TV, blew 40 seconds off the clock by running 25 yards to gain 3 yards with a minute 40 left, where he didn't throw it out of bounds for whatever reason. He hit probably the throw of his life to Brian Thomas Jr. on the sideline.
That was
on
crazy.
A 3rd and 7. They take a pointless delay of game, which he just he's trying to hard count, but
They took a
doesn't-
lot of those.
Hard counting there is insane.
doesn't realize
There's 3 seconds.
there's
on
3
the
seconds on the play clock. I almost feel like maybe the play clock's in a bad spot because it's over there just on the bottom of the stands, and maybe there's players and people in the way of it. I feel like it should be up high
Agreed.
on the scoreboard. Took the pointless play of the game or delay of game. He threw a pick, but technically got bailed out on PI, which thank God they call that PI because I feel bad for the Falcons. That's exactly the same play that happened last year on Sunday Night Football with Kyle Pitts, where the defender literally is just not looking and just goes to tackle Kyle Pitts, and there was no play or PI called. It was 4th and goal. Falcons turned it over. They didn't win the game. They made up for the call. It's not the same crew, but they made the right call this time.
Yeah.
Brian Thomas was clearly fouled. And then, yes, of course, the trip, get up, fall again, get up, and score. Just an incredible last 15 minutes for the Jaguars. And I think the first thing, of course, people are going to say, like you said, Sanders, the first thing you said was penalties. Kansas City had 13 penalties for 109 yards. The Jaguars had 4 for 25. And I actually don't mind the way they officiated. Actually, I hate the way it went down with the pick play. But I'm going to trust that Kansas City knows what they're doing there. They did it 1 yard down the field.
Yeah.
And that if the flag was not thrown, then it would not have been a big deal. It just would have been a touchdown. There would have been complaints about it, but we would have got the same explanation.
As someone that grew up playing soccer too, pleading to the refs is so much part of the game of running up. And the MLS has debuted a ref cam, which is really funny because you'll get shots of players just looking up into it, being like, "Please, please."
And also,
that's just good.
If the ref isn't confident enough in his call that he's gonna be influenced.
Well, I think in that situation, it's he's watching and then he sees them run into each other, and it's just an immediate without really initially thinking about the fact that it maybe wasn't 1 yard down the field. And then when he sits and thinks about it, he's like, oh, yeah, wait, that was, legal.
I think that's probably what happened as well. But I think the average Kansas City fan is going to try and respin it to say that, oh, well, we were actually flagged 13 times. It was refs against the Chiefs.
Don't hold on every punt return.
Don't hold on every punt and kick return.
Don't kick it out of bounds.
Don't kick it out of bounds. Don't literally tackle guys for pass interference calls. They did something they don't normally do, and it's been kind of a story of a few of their losses, just some bonehead plays that don't make sense. The mojo is just really weird. Chris Jones not even trying on the game-winning play is super weird. He has 4 tackles this season. Jamar Chase has 5.
I was looking at PFF. He has 6 on PFF, so I guess ESPN might have it recorded
According to
differently.
StatMuse.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw the
StatMuse
tweet
we
going
trust.
viral, and so that's why I double-checked it on PFF. I'm gonna
6
pull
and
it
5 is really bad as well.
Yes.
But it does sound better to say Jamar Chase has more than Chris Jones.
And the Mahomes interception for Devin Lloyd, which he now has the league lead in interceptions with 4, he got baited.
They simulated pressure and then
He
dropped
got
out of it.
That's not something one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time loses to, where they show cover 0 across the front and they drop out of it, and he, for whatever reason, does not recognize that, and he just throws it to Devin Lloyd, who dropped out of it. He just thinks it's wide open. He clearly thinks it's wide open because he's not trying to zip the ball in there with all his might and get it past Devin. He doesn't throw it high to get over top of Devin. He just throws it like his receiver is wide open. And he got baited. And then he misses a tackle to potentially stop Devin, and Devin goes all the way down the sideline in a huge moment and scores a touchdown. I don't think this is a great team right now. This is a good team. They've shown flashes of the old Kansas City Chiefs, but I mean, it's a bad. Tim Duncan in his last 1 to 2 years showed flashes of old Tim Duncan, but that doesn't mean he's Tim Duncan of when he won championships. I was going to say LeBron, but LeBron is still one of the greatest players on the planet. He just not playing LeBron level. But this is just not a great team. This is a good football team. They were undisciplined, committed bonehead penalties, and it's really a shame because they were lighting up the Jaguars. The Jaguars, coming into the game, played zone coverage 80% of the time. Played zone coverage last night 75% of the time. Mahomes faced it 34 times. He was 27 of 32 for 311 yards against zone coverage. So he was just picking them apart. You had a 14-0 lead, and yet you still kind of give this game away on the road. You still can't get anything in the ground game. It's just it's sad to see. But I'm happy because I picked Jacksonville. I thought they would be competitive in this game, and they ended up winning this game. I'm really happy for Trevor because if he loses this game, if he falls down and gets tackled and someone touches him, there's 23 seconds left. It's a mad dash to get back lined up. They probably run 1 or 2 more plays, and they may not score. Nothing is guaranteed. They had no timeouts. And then you come into national TV, or not national TV, but sports TV and sports media today, and he's getting ripped to shreds. He's a bust. He's the worst number 1 overall pick ever. Stuff like that. It's crazy how much that's going to be completely flipped because he was able to pull off that game-winning drive. For me, it's like we mentioned at the top, it's still incredible that it even happened, given everything that happened in those last 15 minutes or so for Trevor. It's truly, it's kind of remarkable that was even pulled off, to be honest.
0 sense.
With Brian Thomas being a huge part of it, too, with how things have gone so far this season. But what a win for Liam Cohen and the Jaguars that moves them to 4-1. A big thing he talked about today, he was on the Pat McAfee show, is like it's a huge win for us, but we kind of went into that game not caring about the other logo on the other side of the field, and he said because of that it felt like it helped them a ton, playing with a ton of confidence, and even when they got down in a 14-0 hole at home on prime time, they were able to fight back. That was a big Chiefs crowd, too. There were a lot of red in that stands, and the Chiefs fans traveled really well, which, of course, they're going to because they're all bandwagons for the most part. But that's a huge win for Jacksonville going forward. That ties them with the Colts at the division lead at 4-1. And this is the kind of game that they had been losing the past 2 years, which is why they've missed the playoffs the past 2 years. So huge for Jacksonville. And now I think concerned for Kansas City. I'll go ahead and tell you, I don't think they're winning this weekend against the Lions on Sunday Night Football.
Sure.
I do not get how they are favored in that game, which is also
they're favored by 2.5 right now.
Favored by 2.5 against the Lions after
So
not
neutral
being
field
favored. A neutral field pick 'em. After not being favored against the Ravens or the Eagles, it doesn't make sense to me
Lions
with the way the
disrespect.
Lions are playing. And that's foreshadowing to another segment of this show at some point.
For sure. Yeah, I agree. It's so sloppy from Kansas City recently. The only other thing I had in my notes that hasn't been touched on is maybe a bit of a turnaround game for the Jaguars receiving core. You hit the
Travis Hunter.
jump ball to Travis Hunter that he comes down with because you probably should just get him more targets in
I'm
general.
glad you brought that up.
And you get him involved underneath on some slants and let him try and create after the catch, and he did so a couple times. Then Brian Thomas makes a huge catch down the sidelines on the great throw by Trevor Lawrence and had a couple other big catches. And that's more of what we expected to see coming into the season is those guys making plays for Trevor. So it was good to see that last night.
Yeah, I was actually literally, I was about to bring up Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter finishes with a couple first downs. He finishes with confidence. He finishes 3 receptions, 64 yards. I think the first one was that one on the sideline where he kind of gets tackled out of bounds and comes up and like does the big celebration. You know, very like I don't know. He just had a little bit of swagger and then has that big catch. And watching it, I was like, "Yep, JP made the primetime prediction.
Yep.
Travis Hunter under the lights." And that's not offensively. He plays well. Like I said, getting those 64 yards. He played 39 snaps on offense and
25
25 snaps on 25 snaps on defense and finished with PFF grades in the 70s on both sides of the ball. So has a really good night. Which shout out to you for predicting that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It felt necessary. It just felt like this was a huge moment for Jacksonville to prove why they picked him with a second overall pick, why they traded a first-round pick for Travis Hunter. He only played, that's 64 snaps?
25 and 30 something.
25 and 39, 64 snaps the entire game, so not even close to his most snap count of the, like, week 2 and 3, he played 70+. But he was incredible. Offensively, he made big plays. Of course, the big catch. He has the catch that was 2 yards past the line of scrimmage, and then he makes 2 guys miss 1-on-2, picks up a first down.
That was crazy.
He has the big moment early in the game against Travis Kelce where he kind of technically fouled him. I don't know. It's a tough call, but it hits Travis Kelce in the hands.
Yeah.
And he drops it on 3rd down, and the Chiefs are forced to punt. So I thought it was a huge opportunity for them, and they took advantage of it, and Travis took advantage of it. And now, like, that's the Jaguars' only primetime game, I think, this entire year. And now people at least know that, because no one really is going to watch the Jacksonville Jaguars games, unless going forward they're 8-1, 9-1. They're one of those teams. It at least solidifies to people that, oh, Travis Hunter is here. Travis Hunter's playing well, and he's playing well for this team. And it helps. It's going to help going forward with their fan base. It's a huge part of being able to fill the stands going forward, which is massive. Duval can be a home field advantage to some degree for them. But it's a huge night for Travis. And
Sure.
Obviously I'm happy because I predicted it and it happened. So shout out to him. Shout out to 12.
He finished tied for most snaps on the team. Most snaps by any offensive player. I mean, not like with his 36, but like total.
Yeah.
And there were some defensive players that played 64. So he finished tied for most snaps played, which is a huge step up from the snaps he'd been playing.
Especially week 4 and week 1 he barely played. And this was it was questionable, but he makes some big plays in this game, and Brian Thomas makes big plays in this game, and going forward Jacksonville is going to be good, apparently 3-0 at home. They host Seattle next week. That's going to be a huge game. It's a huge game for Seattle. Seattle has to fly all the way across the country and play a noon kickoff or a 1 p.m. Eastern kickoff. So that plays a huge factor into it.
Is that a 10 o'clock body time?
10 o'clock body time. And it's literally it's the 3rd longest flight possible from Seattle to Jacksonville. That's next to are Seattle to Tampa Bay and Seattle to Miami. So a long flight for Seattle after a heartbreaking loss, foreshadowing potentially to a pick I would make as much as I love Seattle. But a huge win for Jacksonville. This 4-1 and 3-2 makes such a big difference. I feel this in fantasy football with my teams, and I don't know why, but for whatever reason, early on in the season, those first 6 weeks or so, the difference between 4-1 and 3-2, 2-3 and 1-4, just feel massive. And for Jacksonville, it feels massive for them going forward to have that win and be in that spot, because you don't want to be like the Ravens are about to be in a tough spot at 1-5, and it's because they let the Buffalo game go. This win helps them going down the road. If they are going to have some surprising losses, well, they've got this win against Kansas City. It could also help them if they were to win the division. And that kind of leads me to my next question. Who do we think is winning the AFC West right now? And on top of that, I guess my first question is, who do y'all think is the favorite to win the AFC West right now with the Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, and potentially the Raiders, but maybe not.
Are the Raiders 1-4?
Raiders are 1-4.
Man,
I'm gonna say it's the Chiefs that are favored. Chargers are too banged up, and the Broncos have started out goofy, losing the two weird fluke games and then bouncing back. They haven't beat the Chiefs yet, have they?
Broncos haven't played the Chiefs.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. So they haven't played the Chiefs. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs just because it's not the Raiders. Chargers are too banged up, and then between the Broncos and Chiefs, one of them is 3-2, the other's 2-3. I'm gonna pick the Chiefs.
I think it's still the Chargers. That's
Wow.
my pick. They're still 3-2.
These are y'all's picks.
This
is our
is what I
prediction.
think the odds are.
Heard.
This would not be my pick, but
Yeah,
I
I'm not
think it's
picking
the
the
Chargers.
Chiefs. I think it's the Chiefs.
They're still 3-2. They're probably the most beat up they'll be all season. You hope to get Joe Alt back soon. A couple other offensive linemen back soon. So I think it's probably still the Chargers.
Point to Jack. The Chargers are still the favorite at plus 145. The Chiefs at plus 190, and the Denver Broncos at plus 210. So a three-man race, all really tight-knit. 3-2 Chargers, 3-2 Broncos, and the 2-3 Chiefs. But FanDuel has the Chargers as the favorite at this point in the season, even after that terrible, terrible loss
What are the Raiders
on
odds?
Sunday. Plus 6,500, which I'm pretty sure is 1.8%. 1.5% chance.
Not
Okay.
great.
This is, you don't have to, who has the worst odds to win the division right now? Is it the
Worst odds to win the
Dolphins?
division are
The Jets.
the Jets,
Jets,
New York
yeah.
Giants,
Because
and
the Dolphins
Dolphins,
just beat. Okay.
Yeah,
which
I was
are
gonna say,
all at plus 10,000, which is 1% chance.
the Jets are the only team without a win yet. So, cool. Well, shall we get to the Pucylowski
Wait,
pyramid?
we got to make our picks. Did you want us to pick? Oh,
Yeah,
as well?
we
Okay.
can do that as well at this point.
I'm going to stick with the Chiefs. I know the vibes aren't good right now. They're 2-3, and they have a tough schedule. But the Chargers are really banged up, and I just really haven't liked what I've seen from Bo Nix. I know he had a good fourth quarter on Sunday, but the first three quarters were not good in that game. He's not played well consistently, and so I'm not going to back the team, as good as their defense is, that has the worst quarterback out of the three. So I'll take the Chiefs to win it still.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not. It's not the Chiefs, and I will not pick the Chiefs. And if the Chiefs do not win this division, I can't wait for the apologies I get because
Well, you picked them to win the division in the final preview. so.
No. I
You
got
did.
so much crap from y'all for saying the Chiefs were going to have a bad year, that they were going to regress in their one-possession games, and y'all said they aren't going to play any one-possession games. They're 0-3 in one-possession games right now. They
Sure.
went 12-0 last year. I don't think it's going to be the Chiefs, and I don't know between. I'm gonna go with the Chargers and be a homer. I will pick them to get healthy, but yeah, I'm gonna go with the Chargers and hope that Justin Herbert and that wide receiver core, even if we lose Keenan Allen at some point with an injury, we still have Quentin Johnston and Ladd McConkey, and tight ends. Hopefully they get drier gloves. I don't
Just
know.
play Rondé Gadsden more.
Play
Hey, just
Rondé
don't play
Gadsden more.
Tyler Conklin.
I don't know. Yeah. I saw that play, and I missed it at first. And then I saw the comments. They're like, what is he doing? Drop him. Release him. Because if you don't know what to look for, you almost miss it. Because you're watching Herbert, and then when you turn, he just drops it. But, yeah.
It's too good, man, that he does that. That's
Just
good
wait.
ball.
It was only the one time, right? Does he do it? You said does that. Does he do it more than that?
No, just like that he does that on that play.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, cool. I was like, no way he does that often. Anyway, so, yeah, I'm going to pick the Chargers. But, yeah. Them and the Chiefs are both. Well, I guess the Chiefs really only the Xavier Worthy injury. Xavier Worthy. I mean, we are. I'm not gonna have this be part of the video, but he continues to do his little get down earlies and stuff like that, which was fine.
He has to.
Yeah,
He has no choice.
They
there was
told
one-
him
his
that.
he
It's a
he
directive.
re-injured his ankle. I saw that. Did he come back in after that?
He did.
Yeah.
Okay.
He came back in.
He got hit and then he was limping off and I don't know what the ankle injury was because it wasn't a game ankle
He
injury.
got hurt apparently either Friday practice or Saturday practice, and was put on the injury report Sunday before Monday. The ankle was something that was new. It had just been really shoulder. That was a question.
Sure.
And then he got hurt apparently over the weekend, but still played Monday and then re-hurt his ankle. But he'll be fine going forward. I'm picking the Chiefs. Rashee Rice is going to return, and I think that's going to just save this team so much because of how good I think he is. He has not been hurt all of this time. He's just been suspended.
Yeah.
So it may take him a game to get into game shape, but he's not like he's coming off of an injury at this point. He tore his ACL last year, but he would have already recovered. He would have been ready to play week 1 if they needed him.
He should be in good shape.
So he should be in even better shape off of that, maybe have more confidence there as well. And he's a true number 1 in this league, and he will be with Mahomes, and I think that's just going to help them. They're going to win. Like they're in one position games, and they're 0-3 in them. But I think that helps them because they're not going to get blown out. They're going to be in these games going forward. They're not going to lose games by double digits going forward, except maybe this weekend. I hope. I wouldn't mind to see it. But
Sure.
I just think this is a team that for me, I trust more than Sean Payton, which sucks to say, and Bo Nix. And the Chargers and their injuries, I trust Kansas City more, even being a game behind the two of these teams. So I would pick the Chiefs at this point.
Sure.
And not the Raiders,
Well,
sadly.
yeah, the Raiders are pretty dead in the water, I'm afraid. But let's get
Maybe only 2 wins for them on the schedule.
I'll still think they get past 2, but
Yeah.
Geno Smith is playing some bad ball. The team is playing some bad ball right now.
Yeah.
Let's get to the Pucylowski pyramid, though. JP, shall you take us away?
Yeah, we'll start with the teams left off. We have a new team left off. The New York Giants turned it over 5 times against the New Orleans Saints this weekend. Jackson Dart beat the Chargers and then lost to the New Orleans Saints this weekend. They host Philly this weekend, or this Thursday, I should say, on Thursday Night Football. My God, if you look at their schedule going forward as well, just say a prayer for the New York Giants.
That's why I only had them having 2 wins. The schedule is tough.
The next 3 weeks even. Eagles, at the Broncos, at the Eagles.
Nice.
Let's continue 4 more weeks. At the Bears, Packers, at Lions.
You skipped the 49ers.
Hosting the 49ers as well. Like, it's just, say a prayer for New York and Jackson Dart. It's not going to go well, I don't think. That's why I also had the Giants so many low wins, and that's why I also feel really good about my bet for the Giants under 3.5 wins. Screw your Chargers for letting them have one. Otherwise, I'd feel great right now.
Trust me, you are not more upset than I am.
The New York Jets have no wins, so they deserve to be off the tiers. They, I assume that's going to be your question, are officially on graveyard watch.
Okay. I was going
Graveyard
to ask
watch.
when they got the guillotine.
If they are to lose this weekend, which this weekend they host the Broncos, or they don't host the Broncos, they're playing in London against the Broncos. If they lose on Sunday morning, they will officially join the graveyard.
Huge.
Which we'll need to make a cool graphic for.
Yeah.
I think we'll make some kind of like tombstone graphic or something.
Put their logo on it.
Yeah, I think that'll be fun. So they're officially on graveyard watch. The Miami Dolphins stay where they're at. And the Titans winning against Arizona somehow have officially kept themselves off of graveyard watch for at least 1 more week. But if they are to lose this week, they'll be on graveyard watch next week because they play at the Raiders this week. So I feel like maybe a chance for Cam Ward to get a second win.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I think it would be so funny if the Panthers, let's see who the Panthers this week play the Cowboys.
Mhm.
I think it'd be so funny if the Panthers and Jets both lose. The Jets get put in the graveyard, and then the next week beat the Panthers and pull them down with them.
That would be funny. Yes.
So that'd be a really funny scenario. We'll have to see if that plays out.
Can I just I hate the Dolphins for letting the Panthers somehow win that game
agreed.
and like keep them alive. We were very, or me and JP at least, were very low on the Panthers. I don't
Yeah.
have to remember what your
I
final
had them
record
winning like
prediction
9
was.
games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Don't
so
feel too good about that
the
right
fact
now.
they somehow get that win just pisses me off
Agreed.
because the Panthers fans aren't right, but they can keep believing that they're right for another week. So that just
We'll
frustrates
go back
me.
and we'll go respond to all those tweets in a couple weeks.
Yeah, we'll get there. We still got a lot of time left, but that leads us to Tier 7. And speaking of the Panthers rejoined the tiers. This is, I guess.
Someone had to get put there.
Yeah, I'm not sold on Bryce, of course. He has under 200 passing yards in 4 of 5 games, under 155 passing yards in 3 of his 5 games. Rico Dowdle was the reason they won this game. He cooked, but they got picked apart by Tua, and credit to them for making a 17-point comeback. That was kind of the story of the weekend, and they were another one of those. And Eric Collins, the Charlotte Hornets play-by-play commentator, needs to call more NFL games.
That was elite. I saw
was
some people
incredible.
hating on it, but that's just good ball.
It was
I don't
terrific.
understand people who don't want their announcers to be excited. Like, it makes the game so much. People who hate on Gus Johnson,
Yeah.
it drives me crazy.
I think some people were just like, he did it for every play, not just the big ones. Like, he got too excited too often, but I don't care. I mean,
Yeah.
I think he just does it in the right way because
I agree.
he's excited to see something really incredible. There are guys like Joe Tessitore who does it for every play, but he does it in a way where it feels like what the play that just happened won that team the Super Bowl in week 2,
Sure.
2:30 on ABC in a game between Alabama and South Florida.
Yeah.
Like that's how he calls the games. If he's calling a big game, I love Joe Tessitore towards the end of the year, but he does it too much for the small games.
Yeah. And
Eric-
in the NFL, most of the games are big games. There's
Yeah.
not a whole lot of small games in the NFL.
Sure.
Eric Collins calls Charlotte Hornets games and calls 82 of them in a year.
The only reason people tune in.
So I think he deserves a little bit of a break here and say that, hey, he got to call at least a fun game between the Panthers and the Dolphins this weekend. And he needs to continue. And I hope he does, especially with all the playoff baseball that Fox is having to pull all their commentators for. The Browns stay. Gabriel was good in his debut. It's hard to take them off with the teams that are off. And if he keeps playing like that, honestly, I think it's hard to start Shedeur Sanders. I think it's really hard. 2 touchdowns, no picks, never really put the ball in harm's way. You had a chance to potentially win the game against a decent Vikings team in your first career start. So Dylan Gabriel played well. And I would also like to add, they were so much more fun to watch than without Joe Flacco this Sunday morning. So much more fun. Watching with Joe Flacco was just brutal. Excuse me. The Saints. We beat Jackson Dart. It was kind of a win-win for me. If we beat Jackson Dart, hell yeah. If we lose, we're 0-5, and we're in a great spot for the number 1 overall pick. So it was a win-win for me. I think it's going to be a win-win this weekend as well. If we beat the New England Patriots, then I'm back into the conversation of fight for the playoff Saints, even at 2-4. Because
You got to be at that point. There's no other option.
yeah, via the transitive property, we've beat the best team in the league in the Buffalo Bills. But if we lose, we're 1-5, and we're right back in a good spot for a great draft pick. Forced 5 turnovers together. Rattler's playing really well. The team is together. I can feel that, and I feel that from the locker room videos as well. And surprisingly, but honestly not, playing the young guys because of injuries for the most part is helping this team and the team camaraderie. All the old farts not playing is actually helping this team, and they got a big chance this weekend with the Patriots coming to town. Cardinals dropped to the bottom tier, and my goodness, I really wanted to drop them off, but it was so hard It was so hard to pull one of the other teams up. Like, the Giants was the one I was considering keeping. Genuinely speechless. We already went through how they choked that game. They've just invent ways to lose, which I've now said 3 weeks in a row. Man, speechless. That was a tough watch. The Raiders. No. Blamed others on 2 interceptions he had against the Colts this weekend. Maybe, I don't know. He kind of had a fair point, but the last person to blame someone for interceptions was Aaron Rodgers last year with the Jets, and that did not go well. It's not a good look. You have to beat the Titans this weekend. Geno has 6 touchdowns, 9 interceptions this year. Genty's finally playing well, but you cannot lose to Brian Callahan this weekend. That is it. I don't know what you do at that point, honestly. But I think then you're in a watch for 2-14 or 2-15 for the Raiders. But I think they're winning this weekend and look at their second win and be well back on their way to maybe sneak into a wild card because 8-9 might do it in the AFC this year. Texans, quiet 2 wins in a row. Honestly, a tough time for a bye week, though. The offense got confidence in the fourth quarter against the Titans where they scored 21 points. And then you cook the Ravens and that defense, and now you got to sit for a week. It kind of sucks for them. They got 2 quick wins, got back to 2-3. They're getting going, and it's just a bad time for a bye week. They're not really injuries they need to heal from. So hopefully they don't lose all this momentum as they come out of the bye in 2 weeks, but we'll see. Bengals, they added Joe Flacco today. I don't think he saves them. He has 2 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. Jake Browning had 6 touchdowns to 8 interceptions, so a worse touchdown-interception ratio than a guy who had 8 picks. So maybe he plays better, but this team isn't just a mediocre quarterback away from being a team that makes the playoffs. And that does it for Tier 7. Tier 6, the Steelers drop. They had a bye week, so no real update on the team, but I'm just dropping them because of other good teams last week. Full pressure on the Steelers this weekend. You cannot lose to Dylan Gabriel at home off of a bye week. You cannot lose that game. And they had to travel all the way back from London. You cannot lose that game. Steelers are favored by 5.5 right now. Patriots, only up 1 tier. It's a marquee win for the new program. Is Drake May a superstar? Maybe. Is Stephon Diggs back? Maybe. But like I said earlier, let's pump the brakes. If you handle business against the Saints this weekend, then we'll talk next week about moving the Patriots up even further. The Ravens drop all the way down to Tier 6. What an ugly, ugly showing this weekend. 7 straight 3-and-outs. They need Lamar back. He's a long shot to play Sunday. Rams are currently a 7.5-point favorite. You're about to be 1-5 and in desperation mode the rest of the season, which is insane for a team that, I don't know, we've kind of felt like could be the number 1 overall seed. I think we all picked the Bills, but we basically had them all at like 13 wins.
We said they were the roster with no weaknesses, and here they are.
Ugly. The Vikings, they were there. It's a great game-winning drive from Wentz against the Browns defense. 365 yards of offense versus the Browns defense. And I think the big thing, Jordan Addison responds after being suspended for the first quarter by his own team. And he has the game-winning touchdown. So credit to them. J.J. McCarthy might return this week, up in the air, and I think I'm curious to see who they'll start. Carson Wentz did not go 2-0, so I don't think it's a layup to start Wentz. So I imagine McCarthy returns as the quarterback. And then you have 2 teams, the Falcons and the Bears, who both had bye weeks as well, so no real update on them. Hard to move them up or down. For the Falcons, bad time for the Bills to lose and regain focus, and then you got to host them on Monday Night Football. I will be at that game, and I fully expect a Falcons heartbreaking loss to the Bills on Monday Night Football, and I cannot wait to see it in person. For the Bears, we will find out Monday as well if they won the bye week in their Hail Mary rematch. A pivotal game, honestly, for the Bears this season and the Commanders. Speaking of the Commanders, we go to Tier 5, and welcome back to Tier 5, the Washington Commanders. Jaden was great.
Thank you.
He looked great, too. Honestly, was moving well. Bill Krosky-Merritt was incredible, breaking tackles. The defense kind of dismantled what we thought was a dangerous passing attack and a good running game. and you took advantage of a big win on the road. You went 1-1 in the 2 big road games, and now you get to come home and host. I feel like you're playing with house money. All the pressures is on the Bears in this game because they have to redeem that game from last year. You're right back, 1 game back from the NFC East lead. So the Commanders are back in a good spot, and they're back on Tier 5. The Cowboys stay where they're at. The offense continues to shine. The defense took advantage of bad Jets pass blocking. CD might be back this week. The things just keep progressing for the Dallas Cowboys. And I defense played well against the Jets, but the Jets are terrible offensively. The Chargers, terrible game. Had to drop them all the way down to Tier 5. They were on Tier 3 last week and had been for the entire season. Commanders had nearly 400 yards of offense. Amarian Hampton's hurt. Herbert has now had 2 straight weeks under 205 passing yards. 4 picks in the last 3 games. And with no Hampton, the running game was already diminishing. I don't think it's going to get much better. They apparently just signed Naheem Hines, who has a chance to play this week, to go along with Hassan Haskins.
You know who else rejoined the squad?
No clue.
Jalen Rieger.
Oh, boy. I don't know about
Things are going well there.
Good luck to the Chargers. The Rams also have to drop. Stafford is playing so well. He's the 2nd best quarterback according to PFF for quarterbacks that started last week. So take Mariota off. Mariota's still the number 1 overall quarterback, but he's only played 2 games. Didn't play last week. The Rams just were not ready to play on Thursday. That showed very early on, losing down 14 immediately. And they have negative home field advantage. I don't think they have home field advantage in really any game they ever play, and it sucks for a team like that to not have that. It's not the team's fault, owner's fault, but it really hurt them clearly, I felt like, on Thursday with all the momentum. San Francisco was 75-25 fans there. So a bad look. The Chiefs have to drop as well, and like I said, the mojo is just weird. Chris Jones not trying on the game-defining play. Mahomes got baited. Made a rookie-level mistake, then ends up in a pick 6 for Devin Lloyd. Not a great team. Just not a great team. They're a good team, and they've shown flashes of themselves, but they don't play consistent, great football. They play fine, good football throughout an entire game, but just not great football right now. Tier 4. Welcome to Tier 4. 4 different teams. Starting with the Colts, Daniel Jones is 4th in passing yards. Jonathan Taylor is 1st in rushing yards. The defense is 3rd in points per game. It arguably could be moved up higher, this team, and I think I would make the argument potentially for them to be on Tier 3. They've won games by 34, 21, and 25, and another game by 1 against the Broncos. If not for the Adonai Mitchell fumble, they are 5-0. Averaging 34 points per game. And Latu is one of the best-kept secrets in football. Their defensive end from UCLA, he is playing outstanding this year, and not enough people are talking about it because no one watches the Colts. Gear up. You need to start watching them because they are a really good team. The Jaguars join the Colts on Tier 4. Defense has forced now 14 turnovers in 5 games. Devin Lloyd has 4 picks on the season. Travis Etienne is 4th in rushing yards. And they're 4-1 with the lone loss of being scared to Jake Browning and somehow allowing the Bengals to come back in that game. This is a really good team. And we're still kind of waiting for Trevor to get going, throwing the football. He got going with his legs on Monday Night Football, but going forward, we'd like to see more out of Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter. And I think we'll get it at some point because that's Liam Cohen, and that's his DNA. He did that with Baker last year through the air. The 49ers also joined Tier 4. This team just finds a way to win. Mac Jones is 3-0. He's throwing it all over the park. If money didn't exist, I would start him going forward. I don't think it's an argument. You look at the 2 Brock Purdy games and the 3 Mac Jones games, albeit against different level of competition, but Mac Jones won a short week. He was hurt. Knee injury did not matter. His limbs were still there, but I don't think he was feeling them. He cooks, beats the Rams on Thursday Night Football. Defensively, Fred Warner is the best player in the league. Not defensively only. He's just the best player in the league. He is incredible, and he's just an engine on that defense that without Nick Bosa is still playing at a really high level. The Broncos also joined Tier 4. Back-to-back weeks where it felt like you found the right things offensively. And with the defense playing as well as it is, if you can just move the ball when needed, like they did on Sunday in the fourth quarter, it's just a really hard team to beat going forward. That brings us to Tier 3. I'm leaving Seattle on Tier 3. For quarterbacks that started last week, Sam Darnold is the best quarterback in football per PFF. The offense is playing so well. A.J. Barner, JSN, the run game. This is just an incredible unit. Sam Darnold on third down has been insane this year. Defense had a bad week, and I expect that to be better going forward. You are 2 better pass protections away from being 5-0. Instead, you're 3-2, and that's kind of the nature of the beast. But Seattle is one of the best teams in football right now, and I don't think anything should be lost from that Buccaneers game this weekend. The Packers, I'm going to move them up to Tier 3, and this is a predictive measure more so than a resume measure. I really wanted to move the Colts up to Tier 3, but I asked myself, if the Packers and Colts played today, who would I think would win the game? I think the Packers would win the game. I think they'd be favored as well. They move up here because the Chargers, this is where the Chargers were. The Chargers were that bad. I'm just going to say 2 weeks ago against the Cowboys was just their one bad defensive week, like the Seahawks had this weekend. I think they're going to shut down and destroy the Bengals this Sunday. That is reflected by the Vegas spread. Any guesses on the spread for that game? Bengals in Lambeau this weekend. Joe Flacco going to start.
11.5.
Sanders?
10.5.
14 is the spread. And it's going up, by the way, as well.
That's crazy.
The Lions move into Tier 3, or they're still in Tier 3, I should say. Number 1 in points per game, 8th in opponent yards per game. So the defense is playing really well at this point in the season. It's just a great team. And they've got a big test this weekend, Sunday Night Football in Kansas City. I think they're going to be up for it. I really think they're going to win that football game, and we'll talk about that in the next show coming up here in a little bit. But they stay on Tier 3. Tier 2, very similar feeling for both of these teams. We'll start with the Eagles. I am not going to overreact. Now, I know I did this last week with the Chargers, but I am not going to overreact. Saquon had 6 carries, quite possibly the lowest in his entire life in a game that he started and finished. This is such a weird team, but I said it 2 weeks ago, or it was actually last week. No further questions, Your Honor. And so I can't question them right now, and I'm going to leave them at Tier 2. The Bills, I'm going to move them down, but I'm not going to overreact. They were never going to go undefeated, quite point blank. And like I said in my best bets segment last week, it was just a really tough spot and a really tough matchup for them. They played not quite possibly, the worst game they've played this season, turning it over 3 times. Josh Allen was not efficient, but I just don't think that's going to continue going forward. They were going to lose a game at some point, just like the Eagles were, and both of them lost this weekend. So I'm not going to overreact to their 2 losses. They deserve to stay up in Tier 2. But that leads us to Tier 1, which is controversial in nature because one of the teams on Tier 2 has beaten this team. But the Buccaneers, 5 games, 4 game-winning drives. 3 of them have been on the road. The team is nowhere near close to healthy. It does not matter. Baker Mayfield wins football games. They played so well in the run game. They played well against Seattle this weekend. They make the turnovers when they needed to. And Emeka Egbuka, top 10 receiver in the league for sure. Arguments for top 5, top 8. He's just been incredible. And like I said, nowhere near close to healthy. No Bucky Irving. No Mike Evans. 38 points against the Seattle defense on the road. Doesn't matter. Buccaneers at top of the tiers. Top of the pyramid, I should say. That does it for week 5. Any questions?
In my opinion, your best pyramid yet.
Oh, wow.
I love what you've done. Sanders, do you have any issues?
What team dropped from tier 3 to tier 6?
No one dropped from tier 3 to tier 6.
You had 4 teams move up and 3 teams drop down.
So the
Someone dropped from tier 4 to tier 6.
Yes.
Chargers dropped from tier 3 to tier 5.
Oh, okay, cool. That's where the big
that was
jump
the biggest movement of the weekend.
Cool. All right. So Dolphins Jets are on graveyard watch.
Correct.
Um,
Titans are a game away from being on graveyard watch.
I'm gonna put them back up there.
But that is it's
And the Dolphins, I assume, are also a game away.
no, I don't think so yet. They this weekend play. They play the Chargers at home. I don't think they're on graveyard watch because I think they won that Panthers game. In my mind, I'm going to take it as a Panthers win with the way
Sure.
Tua played and the way Darren Waller is playing.
Yeah.
Devon Achane, go.
Darren Waller's playing very well right now. It's crazy.
And they were in the Bills game. They have at least shown a pulse in every one of their games except the Colts game this year. The other teams like the Jets and the Titans have had like multiple just terrible games. So they're not on graveyard watch, not for a little bit. Maybe if they were to lose the next 2 weeks, maybe you put them on graveyard watch. But they've at least shown a pulse. They've been competitive. They're just 1-4.
Sure.
And then this is odd. Baltimore Ravens. Only thing keeping them off, they would be on graveyard watch if not for the fact Lamar Jackson was coming back from injury in a couple
If he was
weeks.
done for the year, they're on graveyard watch right now.
Yeah. But the only reason they're not right now is because he's coming back in a couple weeks.
Yes.
How many games do they have to lose before? Because he's out this week in all likelihood, and they play. Who do they play?
I remembered and now I don't remember.
They play the Rams,
Correct. They host the Rams.
who are
that's
7.5 point favorites. If they fall to 1-5, and Lamar Jackson, how bad could it get before they're?
Well, they'll be 1-5. Then they have the bye week.
Yeah.
And so Lamar will return the following week. And then they're in desperation mode, and I expect them to rattle off some wins. Their defense is so bad that they're going to lose games regardless.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like you have to trust Lamar Jackson to go at worst 6-4, and that's 8-9, and you may still make the playoffs. Middle of the pack would be 7-3, and then he could go 8-2 maybe if he plays well enough offensively. I think it's going to help them a ton. Now I don't know if they'll pull it off, but if they were to pull it off and make the playoffs, I think it's going to help them a ton in the playoffs. If they figure out defensively, like how they figured it out last year. But I mean, think of their seasons the past few years, besides the one where Lamar was hurt once we got to the postseason and Huntley had to play. They've been cruising the entire season. They've been clearly the best team in the entire season. They were the number 1 overall seed, all of that. And then when they got to the playoffs, they got tight. They didn't perform in the biggest moment because they hadn't been really in those kind of moments throughout the season. They just dominated everyone. Now they'll be in it. Their backs are up against the wall immediately after the bye week.
Yeah.
At 1-5, and it may help them if they were to make the postseason. But I have faith in them still with Lamar, and otherwise they'd be on graveyard watch.
Yeah. And the way their schedule plays out, they've already played the Bills, they've already played the Lions, they've already played the Chiefs, they've already played the Texans. And so down the back 2/3 of your schedule, we're 5 games in. You play the Rams, you play winnable games, Bears, Dolphins, Browns, Jets, Bengals again, Patriots, Steelers. They've got a lot of winnable games left on the schedule because it was so front heavy with the Bills, Lions, and Chiefs. You still have to play the Packers in Lambeau. that will in all likelihood be a loss, barring some second half recovery. And like if those two teams played right now, even with the healthy Lamar,
Yeah.
the Packers would be very heavy favorites in that game. So a lot of winnable schedules. I mean, there's a good chance you do only lose 3 more games on this schedule to the Packers, lose one to the Steelers, and maybe lose one to the Vikings or Browns, get upset there. So that puts you at 9-7, right? 3 losses with 9-7. That's almost. There's a good chance that puts you in the playoffs. I don't think that. What did you say?
There's got to be.
Thank you. It
you
puts
gotta
you
have
at
another win
10-7.
somewhere.
It put you
Yeah,
at
I was gonna
10-7.
say.
It'd be 3 losses. So
10-7, they'll make the postseason.
10-7. I think you are almost definitely in the playoffs. You said 8-9. I don't think 8-9 is going to get you in the playoffs.
It could.
I mean, I guess has a team below 500.
Yes. I think we had that one year with the wild card team.
Because also currently, and it could change, the NFC is taking it to the AFC in the kind of cross division games.
Yeah.
So
And
but
we've had a playoff team be 7.
I don't think it's not likely at all. It's not.
but that
likely
was
at all,
they were
but
a division champion though.
Yes.
I don't think the Ravens are going to win this division. There is a chance.
You don't
I
think
guess
you don't think they're winning the division?
not the Steelers already.
Who are you picking?
I think right now you have to pick the Steelers.
I don't have to. You might.
I think right now it is not unreasonable to pick the Steelers.
Do you want to know what would you guess the odds are?
Steelers are favored, and then probably the Ravens, and then the Bengals.
The Steelers are not favored to win the division.
Are the Ravens favored?
The Ravens are favored to win the division at plus 110, which is just below 50%. The Steelers are plus 115, so just below the Ravens. The Bengals are in Narnia at plus 1100.
The sports books
Where are the Browns?
stay the course.
Are they there with the Bengals?
Worse, plus 1700.
They're worse than the Bengals?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
That kind of surprises me.
It does
You
not
think Dylan
surprise
Gabriel
me.
is winning the division? Come on now.
I think he's got a better chance than Jake Browning.
Well,
I think
it's
the
Joe
defense
Flacco
is.
now.
I think he's got. I think that defense with Dylan Gabriel on that defense, I would pick. I mean, it doesn't matter.
The pass catchers are historically bad
Yes.
in Cleveland. Isaiah Bond is getting 7 targets.
Yeah.
And he just started playing.
Yeah.
All right, do you have a gripe?
No, I don't have a gripe.
Okay. I do have one small one.
Go ahead.
It actually features the Ravens. I would swap them in Texas.
That's fair.
Just because right now there is no Lamar, and Texas just beat up on them. So I would flip them. Not a huge deal. I said it's your best pyramid, but that's
I'm
that.
down with that. I think that's completely fair. Yeah.
Cool. Well, anything else for the show before
Nope.
we take a brief intermission and then get back to it?
No?
Cool.
Be back. You want to say 6?
I'm good with 6. Any
Grab a
qualms
snack.
with 6?
No qualms.
Okay.
Cool.
Thanks to
We'll-
all who tuned in.
Yeah.
Are we
Means a
staying
lot.
live? Or
We're not
I
gonna
don't
stay
think
live.
because I need to start a second. I have
Okay,
to change
that's fine.
streams.
Thanks to all who tuned in. Means a lot as always, and we will be back for y'all in 20 minutes instead of being back Thursday. And we can't wait to see y'all there. And if you're just listening after, hope y'all enjoyed. Peace.
See ya.